the wee face who, I'm behind Julio, I'm behind Mr. Russell, I'm behind this legend right here, and I'm even behind George Carlin hosting this fantastic podcast. Welcome into everyone as well, and apologies we are a little bit late tonight. And yeah, another great weekend of football. Great to see everyone on, and we will first welcome in our guests as well, and welcome to everyone who is coming in on the chat as well. Firstly, thank you so much to this absolute legend for joining us tonight. He is returning to the show that he started, of course, Mr. Douglas Horn, who, of course, has got a very, very big week coming up for him. How are you doing, sir? I bet you must be feeling ecstatic at the moment.
Yeah, it's good to be back on my own show. But no, thank you very much for actually asking me on. It is a pleasure, and yeah, a bit of a big week coming up. Yeah, our little one is arriving at some point. At some point, we've obviously been speaking off air. You think he's arriving on Thursday, so yeah, we'll see that. But no, thank you very much for having me on. It is a pleasure to be back on.
No problem, sir. Thank you so much for joining us once again, of course. And now down to the man, the myth, the legend, the cult of personality, the guy who thinks it is really his show, Mr. Reese Russell of the Weekly Steel Chair. How are you doing, sir?
It is my show. Welcome, one and all, to a spectacle on and wide. Welcome to the World of Football podcast on the late show that does not involve Jonathan Ross. We'll see how this one goes.
Anyway, moving on faster. Anyway, moving on faster than a mock Drake for 20 mile per hour zone. Welcome into Hell, who's just joining us as well in the chat, and anyone else who is also joining us as well. Very sadly, no Josh tonight. He has had some very last minute commitments as well, and Mr. Julio Leschi, who of course is the new contributor on the channel this year. What an absolute legend he is as well. He will be joining us too very, very shortly. But aside from that, to get the show on the road, we're going to start off in the Premier League, and we are going to start off with one of the boys' dearests. They've had 2 3-1 wins, one in the Champions League against Lask, and another a very good 3-1 victory against West Ham. Liverpool, what a good run they are on at the moment. Starting off, we'll go into that game against West Ham, of course. Mo Salah getting that penalty, scoring off straight very, very well. Jarrod Bowen getting that equaliser before half-time, and then obviously Darwin Núñez and Diogo Jota popping up with goals in the second half to seal the 3-1 victory. I did think, though, that Liverpool obviously got a slow start against Lask as well. Grew back very well into it, but boy, I did think you guys were a little bit complacent throughout that game. Eased a lot with that West Ham performance, but take it away, Doug. What did you think of both of those performances?
It was nice to be in the lead for once, because obviously before that, after that last game, I think it was like 4 out of the last 5. I think we had been behind, and obviously having to come back coming back and win. It was nice to be back in front. I've got to be honest. We're in really good form. Obviously, the only blot this season is really Chelsea. We've won every single game ever since as well, which is good to see. But I think you've kind of seen a new sort of Liverpool this season. It's obviously, I think a lot of goes down to Jurgen Klopp sort of rebuilding his midfield. I think that was massive, especially with the players that have obviously had to go. We obviously had Henderson go, Milner go, Firmino go, Ox go, Keita go. So, that's already like 5 midfielders that have obviously left the club. And I think to bring in Ryan Gravenberch, who will be a very, very good signing. He's already shown in the last couple of games he's going to be a very good player. Wataru Endo, I think he's a very, very good signing as well. Alexis McAllister, who's been showing glimpses, it has to be said as well. I think he will definitely become good. And Dominic Szoboszlai, who obviously I know from watching him in Germany, watching him in Austria, I knew how big a player he was going to be, and already he's looking like a fan's favourite. He's looking like a really, really good player. And, he could be one of the signs of the summer, the way he's going as well. But I think as well, we've actually got a really potent attack now. Salah's scoring, Diaz is scoring, Gakpo's scoring, Núñez is scoring, Jota. all 5 of them have already, scored this this season, and we're getting goals from midfield, which is the main thing, as well. And as well, we've obviously got one of the best keepers in the league in Alisson Becker, who made a magnificent save from Thomas Soucek. If you haven't seen it, it is an absolute wonder save. It's literally low down into the corner, and it's an absolutely fantastic save from Alisson. And I've got to say as well, I know we don't even have Trent at this moment in time, but Joe Gomez, I thought, was absolutely fantastic yesterday, as well, especially dealing with Jared Bowen and Antonio as well. I thought we played really well, but it's been a very, very good start. 16 points out of a possible 18 is a really, really good start to the season.
I mean, it is very impressive as well, which is the way you've got to say. I think that the 4-3-3 that Jurgen Klopp has installed as well, the way that can be adapted, has worked very well for you guys. Very similar from what you were playing with the previous midfield, in particular last season and the last few seasons, and the way that I found that he's implemented Szoboszlai, McAllister, Curtis Jones, who's been filling in, Endo, I thought was a very good signing as well. And looking up to your fixtures that are coming up within the next few weeks as well, you're coming up against Leicester, which, in my opinion, is going to be a very tasty game on Wednesday night at home, considering the way that they have lit up the Championship like a house on fire starting off this season. A very interesting game as well against Tottenham at the weekend with an Ange Postecoglou side. We'll get on to Tottenham with our North London derby section later on, but with the way he's revitalised them as well. And then there are some very nice fixtures. One, obviously, with the Merseyside derby with Everton, a nice little game against Toulouse in the Europa League as well, and then Forest and Luton in the Premier League. So looking at that run of fixtures, it's going to be one for quite a few for Jurgen Klopp to really get this team to shine, in particular in the midfield.
Yeah, it's a tough wee run, actually, because obviously after Tottenham, I think we've got Brighton away as well, which is it's never an easy place to go to, and especially with our record against Brighton as well. Tottenham would be a very tough game as well, because we've all seen already what Ange Postecoglou's bringing to Tottenham. So the game's coming thick and fast. I mean, the Leicester game, I've spoken to a few Leicester supporters, obviously. I think Chris, Brad, Ant, and they're kind of saying that maybe going out of the potential of the Carabao Cup would be probably more appealing to them than obviously going through. But look, I think that's going to be a very, very interesting game on Wednesday. Obviously not on TV, because obviously Newcastle United against Manchester City is on TV. But I think it's a nice wee sort of run of fixtures we're coming into, and obviously you do mention the Merseyside derby as well. There's some very, very tasty games in there, and I think our October is very, very tough. I've got to say as well, and then you kind of say our sort of November is going to be tough as well. But if we're in a very, very good position going into the game against Manchester City at the Etihad, I'll be very happy.
I completely agree, and that's a very good way of summarising it. Just before I very quickly skip to Mr. Russell, let's say hello to a couple of you in the chat. Welcome in, Mr. Kean Dolan. Hope you're having a good one. Let's have a look. Of course, Kean's late. It's great to see you back on the channel, Kean, as well. Welcome into Yank Talking Smack as well. Liverpool
What's
highlights.
Up,
pass. Welcome in, Connor. Hope you're having a good one as well. What a comment that is. Fantastic. Spurs are a potential banana skin. Very, very good point with the way they've been playing in Brighton with their attacking line. Matoma, fantastic at the weekend. Very worrying. But Reece, have you got anything to add to that on the Liverpool section?
Yeah, they're shit. All in all, I think I'm going to say this in a respectful way, because I've always gone this way. I've not yet been fully impressed with Liverpool. And that's not because I don't think Liverpool are playing bad. It's the reason I'm not impressed with them is because they've set themselves such a high standard over the past couple of years. I don't think they're playing to that standard yet. But I think when you can see the points accumulation, they're at least going for it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I think that's fair. I think the only game I think we've kind of played really, really sort of to our full potential,
Chelsea.
I think, would be Aston Villa. The 3-0 victory.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of the only game. But Look, I think this team has still got a few gears to get into, and I think once we click, I think we'll be very, very good to watch.
I agree. I think when you look at who you've brought in as well, and the squad's average age-wise, it's been reduced significantly, but you've still got some good experience there. It helps. My only thing though is, I think one thing for you guys, it's going to be a real test is if you get injuries, and nobody wants to get injuries for any team. Like, frankly, I don't want to see Man City get injuries. I don't want to see Arsenal get injuries, or ourselves, or Liverpool. I don't like seeing players get injured, but it happens. You know what I mean? So, like, how will you respond if you get injuries? Like, you look at your team in general. Like, if you were to lose key players, I've mugged Trent Alexander-Arnold up on this show for about 4 years because I don't rate the guy. Everybody knows that I don't rate the guy, so forget Trent Alexander-Arnold. But if you lose Robertson, I think Tsimikas is okay, but I don't think Tsimikas reaches that level of Andy Robertson. I think if you lose,
I think you're absolutely fair in what you're saying, and as well. Obviously, like Joe Gomez is obviously having to play at right back at the moment because obviously Trent is out at the moment, and Costa Tsimikas actually signed a new deal today until 2027, which I was quite surprised by. Actually, I was quite surprised, but he obviously wants to stake his place, and he's obviously happy to sort of be that bit part player as well, and obviously still Greek captain. As well, which is really, really good to see. We've obviously got Ben Doak coming through as well on the right hand side as well, and as well, Jarrell Kwanzaa is another player that seems to be coming through. As also there are players sort of coming through the youth, which is always nice to see. So, but yeah, I think if we do get a couple of injuries, then obviously I would be very, very, very worried, and especially the lack of DM. I think that was a big position that we kind of didn't really sort of strengthen. To be fair, I think to be taken by surprise, I think Al Ittihad coming in for Fabinho, I think took everyone by surprise. I don't think anyone kind of expected Fabinho to go, but I think when you're offered 40 million, and we only paid like 35 million for Fabinho, making a £5 million profit, I think it was always the right time to cash in.
Yeah, I agree, and I agree with Keane's comment as well. To be fair, it's like you just immediately let off Ramsey go back up here.
Yeah,
like that didn't make any sense unless you don't think he's ready to play for your team. But you can't get the opportunity to prove himself if he's straight back out on loan. I think he might regret that. I don't know, but
I mean the other thing as well, like we've sold obviously sold Leighton Clarkson to Aberdeen, as well. Reece Williams has gone to Aberdeen. Nat Phillips is obviously going to Celtic. Kieran Ramsey's at Preston, mate. He's at Preston on loan, but I do know he's injured again, so it's not looking too good for young Calvin Ramsey as well. But I hope he gets his chance. I hope he gets his chance very, 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 very soon. But yeah, I think we need to be very, very fortunate with injuries as well.
Yeah, I think another thing as well though is like your forward line is it's still very impressive, and you can see that you're willing to make the one attacking signing like a year.
Yeah,
and these are very heavy on data analysis, and I think a few other clubs are doing that. Like, that's something that we're trying to implement and all that. But like, my biggest concern is with you guys is it's similar to Brighton, and I'm actually going to talk about Brighton tonight. To be fair, when it comes to Brighton's transfer approach, it will not always work. Like, it won't always stick. Like, Brighton fans will probably start greeting, if any Brighton fans end up watching this show, they'll start greeting when I tell them eventually your Moneyball project will fail. You will have to spend. You can't always sign players for 5 million, develop them into quality players, and then sell them on for big money and not expect to invest properly. You're in the Premier League. They cannot go from signing a Caicedo for 5 million, for example, to then bringing in, even though I'm not a big fan of his, but he's still a top-rated player. You can't go and say, well, we've signed Ansu Fati on loan from Barcelona. You can't go from that anymore. Like, you have actually went for the top-tier talent now from one of the biggest clubs in football. Eventually, they will have to spend money. I think Liverpool will have to do the same. And it does concern me in a different way, Hella, because eventually what Liverpool are doing right now works. The scary thing is if they do a different approach, like if the thing that scares me is what Liverpool do right now with Jota, and then they've done it with Salah by accident. Let's be real, Salah was an accident signing. Jurgen Klopp admitted that. But then you signed Jota, then you signed Diaz, then you signed Darwin Núñez, who's been hit and miss. But you've done these signings, but eventually you'll change your approach. It could end up being better, and that does concern me because you don't know how far you'll go, and that's what concerns me. Especially because the current method's working.
I think it's been highly documented as well when you look at Darwin Núñez that he does take a season to sort of like get ready to sort of gel. And I think you're already seeing that yes, he will miss chances, but on the odd occasion he will hit the back of the net. He is actually starting to be a fan's favourite, and you can quite clearly see, obviously the 2 goals against Newcastle. He obviously scored against Lask on Thursday there. And the goal against West Ham. I mean, McAllister plays it over the top, and he literally gets to it before Aliola does. It's a fantastic finish. So I think Núñez is definitely going to get more goals this season, and I think I wouldn't be too surprised if you see Liverpool hit 70, 80, 90 goals this season with the way that those 5 seem to be getting in the goals, and obviously you're getting Szoboszlai to get in the goals as well. So it's a very, very exciting. The only thing I'd be worried about is us defensively. I still don't think we're great defensively.
Yeah, I agree on that. Like, some of the chances you concede are really sloppy. And don't worry, I can't talk for shit when it comes to United. We concede more chances than our Frost opens our legs, but because we're that bad. But like in general circumstance, the chances you concede really will cost you the league. If your main intention is to win the league, the chances you concede will definitely cost you the league title. Just like it's cost us numerous times.
Exactly, and we've seen that. Well, a cocktail at times between both sides over the years, but. Very swiftly moving on while we were on the United subject, I'm just going to feed in Kian's comment when it does come up.
Yeah, spot on.
100%.
That's how he coped it. That's how he coped it Benfica. Float to him. Like, you can't expect him to do all this. Like,
at the end of the day, it'll come over time as well.
Yeah.
Especially for such a young player, it wouldn't come in his first season as well, especially adapting with it, and for also a new style that Liverpool are trying to implement. It has to come through at some point. But moving on to this one's dearest below, Manchester United. There's my thoughts on it. Take it away, Reese.
I had the same conversation with my dad yesterday, who's unfortunately a City fan. All in all, like, I literally said to him, like, we didn't play well at all. Like, general circumstance, we didn't play well. Like, there was a full 5-minute spell where Burnley had 90% possession, and that was when we were still 1-0 up, but it's still not good enough. Like, how can you afford Burnley to have that much percentage of control of the ball? Like, you're supposed to be playing for one of the biggest teams in football, if not the biggest. You cannot afford a team, no disrespect to Burnley, but Burnley are a minnow side. Like, that's not disrespect. Even every Burnley fan would accept that. Compared to like the United and Liverpool, etc., they are fucking minnows. They are like swallowed by a black hole that we are. Like, we swallow them up. Well, we should be. The players were not interested again. That's becoming a real concern than before. Like, it's really causing me to I said it on last week's show about, I think I've said on every single show since the season started, Ten Hag's job is now officially under threat. It's officially under threat, his job, because it's the same thing over and over and over again. I am no longer going to defend these players on this show. except for a select few. So the likes of Garnacho, the likes of Casemiro, the likes of Amrabat, who's not barely played yet, but he's got I've got no issues with him. Lisandro Martinez, Wan-Bissaka, who's back in my good books, even though he's injured at the moment. Sergio Reguilon, Palestri, and at times Bruno Fernandes, even though he can be a right prick, and Rasmus Højlund. Mason Mount, I can't really comment on him because he was in and out of the team, and to be fair, he was thrown straight in. He wasn't because of his price tag, and he wasn't playing a position that's comfortable. The rest of the team, on the other hand, they're no longer inexcusable. Like, they're not safe from defending anymore because they are really causing problems. There is a core issue that these players are not professional enough. They are not doing what's asked of them, like basic roles, basic duties on a football pitch. And they're clearly not interested. And I think it reflects by the one player that I think many people thought would have done okay in the Premier League, but he's really shown himself for who he is, and that's Jadon Sancho. I'm saying this now. Jadon Sancho, somebody can check his contract for me. For as much as Jadon Sancho has on his contract, and for when it expires, Jadon Sancho should be paid off and told to leave the club tomorrow. Because when he complains that he is getting no opportunities, when he is trying to prove that he's actually turned up to training, he's being professional, he's trying to show why he's in the team, you cannot be proving yourself to be professional if you're playing FIFA at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning on Twitch.
Absolutely. Well said.
I try to defend these players as much as I can. I'm often the defensive one, but at times I can be quite critical. Jadon Sancho will no longer be defended by me on this channel. I have got no time for Jadon Sancho. I want his contract scrapped. I want him paid off, and I want him gone. I thought he would have done well in the Prem, to be fair, because his skill set is good enough. But clearly, I'm you know what? I'm actually kind of glad I'm wrong about him, because that's his attitude. It's time to go. And don't worry, his little fan clubs all over social media going, oh, give Jadon a chance, let him play football. Defend that. Defend the fact that he is playing FIFA at 3 o'clock in the morning when he should be in his bed getting ready to get up a couple hours later to go for training when he's trying to get back in the squad.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, that just basically shows, A, how he does not want to be there. B, well, at the end of the day, that shows his commitment to Manchester United. And it really shows his commitment as a footballer, how much he doesn't want it. And at the end of the day, if Ten Hag is going to be fitting in this strong philosophy where he is disciplining these players, he is getting into these players, at the end of the day, where's that going to tie into it? But Hell's got a very interesting comment there.
I agree on that.
Does that take it into account, or is it just with Manchester United struggles at the moment that
we've never genuinely played well at Turf Moor? But I understand there's times where you don't play well, but you don't always have to play well to win a game, but you need to be professional. You need to be professional. And Kean, thanks, mate. 350k a week until 2027.
And how Kean describes it as well.
Yeah, just pay him off and get rid of him. Just pay him off and get rid of him. I would rather play Palestri and Amad Diallo with Garnacho as my wingers. Rashford is hot and cold with me at the minute, although I still think Rashford should have been benched for the Burnley game. Like, the only reason I think he should be benched is because he's not been playing well. Since he's got his new contract, Rashford's just doing whatever the fuck he wants.
At the end of the day, the players you mentioned, Palestri, Garnacho, Rashford, to a massive extent as well, they'll actually fight for the badge. They'll fight for their position in the team. If Rashford blows cold, then he will work to blow hot again. But as you've described it with Sancho, you're not going to see it with that. No. Doug, we're just going to bring you back in here as well. What's your...
At least I tried to give Sancho a chance. At least I actually tried. But this is attitude.
Absolutely.
It reflected the performance as well, because the performance was bad attitude, but it was a lucky win.
It was, and we've started to see this for a couple of months now. You may get it on the odd occasion, and manager rightfully should be disciplining the players, dropping them, fining them, doing all sorts of disciplinary action on them. But at the end of the day, yeah, Sancho's just taking it to another level. But Doug, what's your thoughts on
well? Just want to say I have an update as well. Julio will be joining us in about 2 minutes' time. So we have a little surprise for Mr. Leshy. Stay tuned.
Absolutely. Stay tuned in 2 minutes, guys. But Doug, what do you think on this one?
United are shambles.
Absolutely.
United are shambles. I thought against Burnley they were very, very lucky. I know that obviously Johnny Evans's goal was obviously ruled out. I mean, yeah, apparently you can't stand beside the goalkeeper, which I think is ludicrous anyway. But there were periods in that game where I thought Burnley were, got to say, I thought that game in particular, the one bit of quality was Bruno Fernandes's strike. Apart from that, it just made me fall asleep. Because I don't know where Man United are going this season. Like I don't know. Like the style of football's not great. The players don't seem to be playing for the manager at the moment. Obviously there's been off the field issues with obviously he who must not be named. Obviously Anthony, and obviously this Sancho. Just get rid of Sancho. Like honestly, 350k, and yet he's playing.
FIFA 3 o'clock.
What is the
and they lost 4-1
EAFC? Aye. 3 o'clock in the morning is late for training. Is it any wonder? Why he's late for training? Look, I would offload him in January. Just get him off the wage bill. He obviously doesn't want to be there. Doesn't want to fight for the badge. If I'm being honest, I can't see him playing for you guys ever again. With it until he obviously apologizes to Ten Hag. Things can obviously change as well. Just game as well. That was never a 4-3 game. That could have easily been 7-8-3. Because it's not just the goals you're conceding as well. It's the manner of defeats. It's the defensively you're all over the place as well. And I think as well, I think people need to realise that this is kind of a new team as well, because you've obviously got a new goalkeeper who's obviously never played with this back four as well. And the thing is, it was the same with us. We had a period where we were changing our defence week in, week out. You guys seem to be doing it every single week. So it must be very, very detrimental on Onana. Has to be detrimental on Onana. And by the way, it's going on beyond racism with Onana, by the way. That Mail Sport, whatever page it was, saying that his handling issues continue after dropping his car keys. I mean, that isn't even news. That's something you do every single day. Like, Christ, I've dropped my wallet. I've dropped my phone. I've dropped my house keys a number of times every week. So how is that news?
I dropped my wallet.
I think the performances really have to improve, especially tomorrow.
I dropped my wallet once going all the way up to Farnbridge beside a bloody traffic light. Came back from Farnbridge, my wallet was actually still on the ground. So I was kind of lucky that nothing got nicked. I was like, fuck, how did that fall here? So I agree, that for me is a full-on racist article. Like, it's the fact that they're singling them out. It's always the black players. I'm like, what is it with their agenda against black people? Like, they're just like us as white people. They're human beings. Like, for fuck's sake, like, there's no need for this shit. But I completely agree. It's honestly ridiculous. Onana's not had a good start to United. Let's be real. His start has been really terrifying. Like, I said it to you guys about the Wolves game. That should have been a penalty. Like, it should have been a penalty right at the end. Some of the goals he's let in have been really, really abysmal. Yeah, the media is.
We have some breaking news.
Yeah, like, and some of his I'll say another thing as well. His passing has been good enough either. Like, his passing has been really poor. But those are criticisms of his game. But as a person, I like the fact he came out as well after the Bayern game. Like for that the interview he had. I like the fact that he's at least willing to come out for these interviews. He's no way to shy away from the media, unlike some people like fucking Harry Maguire, who runs from the media. At least Onana came in. He's like, well, if I'm conceding these goals, then that's on me. That's my mistake. Mm-hmm. I'm letting the team down. I want to see that from the whole team. Accountability. But no, like, well, Nana, it's getting so personal. And I'm like, there's no need for this. There is no need for that at all. It's sickening.
I completely agree. Just going to run through some of the comments as well. What's your thoughts on Hell's comment there, Reese, about the upcoming game against Palace?
I've seen people saying the same thing against Burnley, and I told them to shut their gubs. Like, it's not easy. Palace, like, how can people think Palace are easy? Like, Palace are a decent side. They've played really well this year already. Like let's be real. Like, they're only a couple of points behind us, and we play them back to back because we play them in the cup and the league. Like, genuinely, like, they're a good squad.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, they're playing under Roy Hodgson, but they're playing scarily good football, which is a shot for Roy Hodgson. But all in all, like, respectfully, it's not an easy game. I think we'll be lucky to. I think we'll beat them in the cup. But in terms of the league, I think we might draw. The good thing for us is we've got a good run of home games coming up. But again, like, I don't know why people are thinking this is going to be easy. They're only thinking it's easy because they're watching clips on YouTube. Watch the fucking games. Watch the games. You realize we don't have an easy game. I completely agree. We don't have easy games.
Absolutely, and it's going to be something that isn't going to come by from the Premier League, including how strengthening that the lower sides are getting and how you're progressing as well. But aside from that, before I move on to Kean's comment, I'd like to welcome in our next guest, Mikel Arteta. Of course, Mr. Julio Aleshi. How are you doing, man?
Good evening. I've misplaced my keys this evening, so I'm a bit disappointed, but we move.
Fantastic stuff. So, just going to jump you in on this one, Julio. So, Sancho and disciplinary. Said it all by here with this comment from Kian. Issues at City, issues at Dortmund, issues at United. What is this man doing? Be brutal.
The first thing I want to say about the Sancho thing is he had excuses before. You know, sometimes they'll say, well, he's tardy, you know, he's this, he's that, but he's balling on the pitch, so we can let that go. But he's not doing that now. He doesn't have an excuse. If Sancho was ripping up the Premier League at the moment, then it would be, I still maintain it wouldn't be fine. Do you know what I mean? Because there are standards that need to be met in that dressing room. But the thing is, he doesn't have an excuse. And I think this is a mental issue for Sancho, a mentality issue. I think he's gotten away with it for so long. He's almost become accustomed to it. So now someone's telling him what you fall back on isn't working. And he's being asked to change that. And I think Sancho is an instance where, because it's worked for him before, he's there like, he's kissing his teeth to himself like, I don't need to change. It's been working for me before. Why it should come back. And I think that complacency is following him now. And I think that in some cases, mentally, even if he really wanted to change, in some cases it could be so difficult for him mentally where it will feel like all these standards he needs to set himself to change to be the perfect Ten Hag player almost, with also an element of Jadon Sancho. It almost feels like the ceiling is closing in and he can't break that ceiling to change the way Ten Hag wants him to be. Mm-hmm. So I think that you could argue maybe it's too much for him, but then you could also argue he's not doing enough. I mean, what we're seeing reports apparently is on FIFA at 3 a.m.
Oh, it was recorded because he got beat 4-1.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to be honest, it says it all, doesn't it? I mean, I try not to beat him down too hard about this because it may be that he's got something that we don't know. Do you know what I mean? There's more to this than just the guy who can't be asked.
I think it's got. To be fair, mate, I get where you're coming from, But if he generally has an issue like that with him, the last thing you should be doing is streaming online for
Exactly.
their
There's
benefit.
there's a certain point where that's allowed, but when it's 3 a.m. because I had a mate who, from what we're hearing about Sancho and his behavior, almost going away, doing that, it's almost like he's oblivious to what he's been told to change, almost. And I used to have a friend like that. Do you know what I mean? Who would game until 3 a.m. and then knowing he has to be up at 6 a.m. to do this or whatever, and then he wouldn't turn up for that, and he'd almost like say it wasn't his fault that he had to do that when he brought it on himself. Do you know what I mean? It was almost like well, I needed to sleep so I could rest. But you were up at 3 a.m., you brought that on yourself. Now, at the end of the day, I'm sure Ryu said it, Reese. I know a lot of people that me and Reese know mutually that you could excuse the first season, settling into a new league and the whole what was going on with Oli and Ranić, etc., etc. Ten Hag last season, then we see Sancho go away for like 2-3 months. We all said at the end of last season that this was a big first 6-7 weeks of the season for Jadon Sancho, and if he doesn't hit the ground running, that's it for him. And it's gone to the point now where I don't want to say, I've lost patience, I'm going to be really annoyed about this guy's not pulling his weight, let's sell the bastard, etc., etc., etc. But fact of the matter is, it's getting too much now, and we can't be having this circus. Do you know what I mean? We can't be having this reliance on one player, especially for the fact that we can't be having this reliance on a player to turn up when he's not turning up. So it's almost like some players just don't work out. Some players just don't have the mentality for Manchester United. Yeah, and this comment here about accountability is exactly my point. If he's not going to take accountability for what he's doing wrong, and he may have some personal setbacks regarding change, okay? But on the other hand, you still need to make an effort. Ten Hag has done probably everything he could. And what he said I still maintain that what happened with the press conference and the story, there's something in the middle with that, where something's been misconstrued somewhere. Because I remember seeing reports after Ten Hag's comments of journalists in the media and certain sections of the United fan base who have a huge following was talking about, so Sancho's got a bad attitude, this, that. And I think that statement was regarding the attitude comments, because from what I've seen of Ten Hag's comments, they were just talking about he wasn't top level in training. So and then Sancho's come out and reacted like that. Now maybe Ten Hag doesn't know about these media rumors and whatever, because with all due respect, the Mark Goldbridges of the world and the Samuel Luckhursts of the world aren't the most reliable sources to find themselves at Ten Hag's Twitter feed or X feed or whatever. So that there is a circus that's just happened out of nothing almost. And Jadon Sancho is not taking accountability for that, because we're seeing that he won't apologise. Ten Hag's not going to stand down. Bottom line, the manager is right in this scenario. I don't care whether you disagree that he's called him out in a press conference or whatever. The player is not doing enough. If you're in the shit with your manager, right? Granted, he didn't post this. Wan-Bissaka did when they were away in the international break in the States at some friend's party or whatever. But that's not the things we should be seeing from Sancho on Instagram. If anything, we should be seeing like 6 a.m., like him trying to run with trains, the whole Rocky music and all that. That's what we should be seeing.
He thinks he's a fucking gangster, man. Like, Jesus Christ!
We get a lot of players who are absolute ballers, but they've got this franchise player mentality, but they don't have it all to back it up. There's a lot of complacency. They reach a top level, they make a big move, and then from there it's like, I made it. Like Sancho's getting paid 375k a week to play FIFA every night. I'd love that.
Sancho used to be a baller. He used to be. Now he's a top dollar flop. Like he's an absolute failure. And I'll say this is another thing about him as well. I've done it before. I'm not going to be hypocritical. I played FIFA until 4, 5, 6 in the morning. But the difference is, though, I've done it on days where I'm not fucking working. Because I pick and choose. Like, I pick and choose when it felt right. I'm not going to go and do it like a day before I've got work. Like, I always go back to it. You must have professionalism. Every single day, you must have professionalism. If not, then get the fuck out. Like, simply get the fuck out. And like, I'm not I was wanting to give him a chance over the summer because I thought he was playing well.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, maybe
we've
he'll
seen
maybe
this.
he'll come do
We saw
well,
this
but-
last year as well. We saw this last preseason, the summer
Yeah,
before.
I thought he'd come in and do well for this season, but ever since the whole shit's come out about his Twitch and all that, he's playing at X hours in the morning. I'm like, if that's your attitude towards your job and about you trying to prove people wrong, then you're only proving them right. Like, he's proven Ten Hag right by those comments. He's proven the fans right by the ones that criticise him for how abject his performances are and why he doesn't give a shit. He's literally proved them all right. He should be trying to prove them wrong. He needs to go. I heard Roma are apparently looking for him in January. If Jose Mourinho signs him, Mourinho's fucked. Because Mourinho
Sancho
will
and
get
Lukaku up front.
Absolutely.
Mourinho
If Sancho ever goes to Roma, honestly,
crack.
Mourinho will spit him out within the next transfer window. And and that's even pushing it, because I can even see him gets 3 months and then Roma sack him and pay off his contract, because they will be that desperate to get rid of him.
We need to let him go. Like, he has to physically go. I don't care if we just pay him off and take a £75 million loss on him. We're not, like, it's over. It's over. Like, he needs to go.
Don't you have anything further to add on that one?
Yeah, Sancho, I would get rid of him as soon as possible. Just get him off the wage bill. He's obviously not reliable. I get the fact that there may be like underlying issues with him, but if you're not determined to, apologize for what you've done, then you're on the sidelines until January, and then I think United will probably offload him. I mean, if the rumours are Roma wanting him, then that's what Mourinho's head, that one.
I completely agree. Anyway, moving on swiftly to the next load. Going to go one by one on a few of the other games in the Premier League this weekend. And I think, who am I going to start off with? I'm going to give this one to... Yeah, I'm going to give this one to Julio. Man City Forest 2-0. Very good result for Man City, but it did seem that they took the pedal off the gas towards the second half. And I do think Forest did work their way back into it.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the dick down that Forest got at the Etihad last year with God Almighty Dean Henderson in goal. So it was a nice improvement this year around. Unfortunately, for a lot of the weekend, I was working, so I was unable to catch the games. But from what I could see, City won the game comfortably, and we always see this from City every year. They have the ability to obliterate teams 5-0 every week. Let's be real. But the fact that they could just win 2-0 and have not gotten into second gear, I think says a lot. Rodri will be a big miss, because I think Rodri is an exceptional holding midfielder. The way he's like improved his game since coming in, I think has been brilliant. But aside from that, I think Forest can maybe come away with the fact that, like, we tried to take it to City at the Etihad, but at the same time that it's a very routine Manchester City win. I don't think there's anything really that needs to be said about it. It'll be interesting to see how.
Well, there is. There is.
It'll be interesting to see how Pep tinkers, especially for the Arsenal game, because Rodri won't be in for that. Now, regardless of what you want to say about Arsenal, that's still a big game. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
There is definitely one thing that needs to be spoken about in that game. That penalty decision.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but how was that given? Like, for fuck's sake, I'm 6'3". I could lean
really
far forward. Yeah, I could lean.
I knew you were tall, but not that tall. I knew you were tall, but not that tall.
Just ask him. Like,
honestly, I did not realize how tall this man is. Genuine.
Ask them both. No, I'm sorry, but like, how could you generally be that far offside? Like, that is shocking, and it was given. Like, how can that be? Like, like the offside decision as well. Like in general, like how? If I was any other club, that gets chalked off.
At the end of the day, it's just the top 6 bias returning once again to the Premier League. I mean, we will get onto the referees later on, but at the end of the day, Reese, how shocking is it?
It's more shocking than actually. To be fair, I was going to say that, but we've all seen Gabby Ball in the Horse comments. I need to get in a boxing ring with him. I need to get in a boxing ring with Ball in the Horse, and I'll fucking shut him up once and for all. But like, genuinely, like.
Comment of the night.
I reckon Pete's like.
Yeah, Pete is 6'9". Yeah, that is very true.
Nathan, how tall are you?
Doug isn't that big.
About 5'7", 5'8". Reese,
I am thank God. I thought I was the shortest for a moment there.
No, you got a long way. A long way.
You're definitely the slowest because you haven't figured out what I meant yet.
Yeah, no, mate, I've had a long day and a long week, actually. Can you just spoon feed me the answers at this point?
The answer was literally on screen. Nathan?
I don't know.
Nathan, present what I meant. No, not that. Present to Julio what I meant. Oh, never mind.
Still okay.
Just put it in the private chat, please. I can't be bothered.
You literally, no joke.
I can't be
you look like Arteta.
Oh, yeah. How did you not get the intro?
You look
what
just
intro?
like him. You look just like him.
What, the thumbnail?
You look just like him.
Now, when I welcomed you in, everyone who wants to watch it back needs to watch it back. This is how it went. And next, actually, you know what? Let's reenact it right now. And welcoming in to the channel, we have our next guest, a certain Mikel Arteta, or who I should actually say, Mr. Julio Aleshi. How are you?
I completely missed that. Oh my God.
You can tell it's been a long day, sir, can't you?
It's been a long week. I haven't had a day off in like 2 weeks. I've either been at work all day or traveling all day.
You look just like him. It's genuinely funny.
You do. Actually, can I get a side-by-side on it? Nope, that is me.
God.
Just if you swap you and Julio around and then remove us, it'll work.
Will it?
Yeah. It'll work. Trust me.
I'll get there in a minute. Right.
I can't believe this. You know what? I'll take that. Do you know what? My beard is too long at the minute. I was meant to shave it today, actually. So if I'd done that, I might have.
I think we can all now see the resemblance, can't we, lads?
Do you know what's crazy? Whenever I was on the touchline for my brother's games or stuff, I would behave a little bit ecstatically. So.
Oh, even Hell agrees that Haaland was like with Haaland's comment, like putting it in, like that. Even he said he was off. Like he was genuinely so far off that fucking satellites could detect him, like in open space, or like an F-37 bomber could literally find him. Be like, well, there's Haaland. Little gap.
I won't lie, I've had other comparisons. So, in regards to someone in the footballing world who I look like, so I don't know what to make of that.
I don't know who else you look like, mate. I think you've got some sort of Arteta thing going on, and I think
circa 2017, when my hair was a bit more slicked on top to the side.
Oh, you've never looked like Morata. Behave.
I'm not saying I did, but a couple of people said that. So I think it's because I wore one of his shirts. That's why.
Just because you've got Morata stocks and you want to slide into his DMs doesn't mean you look like Alvaro Morata.
The guy has left me on red for 5 years. I'm not happy about that.
Anyway, moving on. Moving swiftly on. Palace against Fulham 0-0. Not going to touch on this one too much. I would say that the result does benefit Fulham more than it does Crystal Palace. I did think they were a little bit better, should have finished it off, but Palace need to work on it from there. Doug, I'm going to give this one to you. Everton, what a shock at the weekend, beating Brentford 3-1. Absolutely bulldozing them. Did Thomas Frank get the system wrong, or are Everton starting to actually gel and get some results together?
Basically, you have to just back Everton against teams that begin with B away from home. They're not very fancied. Happened last season against Brighton. They won 5-1, and then this week they won 3-1 against Brentford, which is unheard of. The first win at Everton at Brentford since 1952. I thought Everton were very, very good. You've got to give credit to the way that they started. I think Thomas Frank's team were just off it, completely off it. But I think as well, Everton have to build on this now. It can't be a one-off. They have to build on this, and I think as well the game against Luton Town on Saturday, that is a must-win for them because you've just gone to Brentford and won by a very convincingly 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
Now I look at this game against Luton and they have to win. They have to win as completely as that. This cannot be a one-off. Very, very good one for the Ev, but we'll see what will happen on Saturday.
Especially because it's at home as well.
Yeah,
it's a home game.
I love Keane's comment right there as well.
Yeah.
Coincidence? I think not. Anyway, moving.
Ironic.
Absolutely. Moving swiftly on from that. I'm going to give this one to you, Mr. Russell. Brighton against Bournemouth. Dominic Solanke getting the first goal before, obviously, that own goal before half-time as well. And then Mitoma, what a masterclass in that second half. Very close game with Bournemouth showing a lot of quality under Iraola. And I do think until they capitulated in the second half, I thought they were in the game most of it. It really showed up Brighton well.
Yeah, that's... Brighton are a good side, but they're so buggy at times. Like, you're not. The
it could still happen, Keane. It could still happen.
You're not the only one that had Brighton going down. Like, I think my concern with that is Brighton's whole game. They really do at times need to start quicker. They finish games really strongly, but they don't start games well. That is eventually going to come back to haunt them. I thought their game was okay. I don't think it was too special, but they're still top 3 in the league at the moment, playing some good football. But it's about, can they maintain that momentum? And I'm not sure. Good result though. Good results, some good goals. Mitoma is just excellent to watch.
Amazing.
It's good to see Queen of the Land. I know he's sporting. Marcus Edwards, pure
Start
baller.
putting the re-slander in the chat immediately.
Bring it on, Mr. Russell.
Wait, why am I going to get slandered?
Because it's funny.
Reese's Monday night.
Fuck off, the Arteta lookalike.
Oh my god, he went pure Scottish for a moment there.
You're a fucking pure tactical, mate.
There he goes. There he's going again.
There we go.
You're fucking wanker.
You're damn right.
In general, like the actual sense of it is like, I think Brighton have started the season really well, but it's about their momentum. Can they keep it going? And they've still got. For goodness sake, look what you've done. Look what you've done. I'm going to get heavy slander now. Cheers.
We will be there.
Go for it. Go for it. I've got the ego. My one thing I will say about Brighton though is I do like the one thing that is consistent with them is it doesn't matter who plays, the style doesn't change, and it's consistently good under the Sherby. They are pressing machines. Like how they can maintain that level of energy, I do not know. I wonder if they've had a little bit extra coffee. You know what I'm saying? A few teams have been accused of that. I do like watching Brighton play, but it's about how much longer can they maintain that. I'm not sure, but still, good result. Lessons to be learned from an opposition point of view, but there are ways to get at Brighton. I think there's a lot are seeing it now where there's ways to get at them, and the one thing to get at them is keeping the ball away from them. if you can keep the ball away for about 15, 20 minutes, they'll come at you with so much energy that they'll have to really excel energy a lot. And yeah.
Can I just ask something quickly on Bournemouth?
Yes.
Bournemouth now 17th in the league, 3 points from 6, 3 losses and 2 draws in their last 5.
They're fine.
Should they be worried?
I don't think so, because
I know they're playing well.
The 3 promoted sides are going down. Sorry, Luton.
We will get onto the newly promoted sides in a minute in one section on their own, but I think in particular with Bournemouth, that I have found they have really had a lot of difficult run of fixtures. Early days without Iraola, and looking at the way they're playing, could be looking about 14th, 13th, and I think there is some time to go. I'm just going to bring Keaton's comment in when it does show up on my side.
Do you reckon they'll finish the season strongly? Bournemouth.
It's this. I agree from that. It's going to be. It's always going to be 3 up, 3 down. But That's a good one.
That's a good question. I think the more likely, though.
I think out of the two teams, I think Bournemouth are more likely to get relegated. But I'm still not awfully convinced by Wolves. I'm not convinced by Gary O'Neill.
I think Bournemouth will get better as the season goes. So they'll finish the season strongly, and when it gets to April, they'll have that game where it's like if they win, they stay up and they win or whatever. Yeah, Wolves. Sorry, one week it looks like a masterclass at Old Trafford almost until Varane scores. Next week they're getting destroyed by Brighton. Brighton are a good side, admittedly, but it's not convincing enough. Like it's almost like they're trying, but they just haven't got enough.
Who was it that I said in our group chat are a bipolar side?
Cardiff.
Yeah, Cardiff are a bipolar side. I genuinely think when you look at it in terms of the Premier League, Wolves are a genuine nut job. Because
I agree.
You've said there about their inconsistency.
I don't know, we're not bad at that either.
Wolves' biggest problem is the quality of players they've actually let go. So they let Ruben Neves go. Stupid. They let their best midfielder, Mateus Nunes, go. A lot of people will say Ruben Neves was their best midfielder. For me, I like Neves, but I personally thought Nunes was better. They let Gonçalo Guedes go back to Benfica on loan. They sold Adama Traore and they let Raul Jimenez both go to Fulham, a direct league rival. Even though Jimenez may not be as good as he once was, he's still good enough for the league and he's still got experience. Adama Traore's pace helps their team for their pressing game. All round, when you look at it in that way, they've made a lot of mistakes from who they've let go, and judging by who they've brought in, I'm not awfully convinced. I thought Pedro Neto played well at the weekend against Luton. I thought Pedro Neto played well. He looks like he's starting to get back to his best, but it's still slow.
I think so.
But I think it's a little bit too late. And he's a player that I would have had at Man United a couple of years ago. I like Pedro Neto, but I wouldn't have him now. Let's be real, I wouldn't. But when you look at their squad in that shape or form, I think Wolves are out of the two. Wolves or Bournemouth, to answer your question, Maisie, which I think is excellent. If you're choosing between both, I'm more inclined to say Wolves. I think I'm more inclined to say Wolves would get relegated than Bournemouth.
Fabio Silva has been one of the biggest disappointment wonder kids, I'd say, in the last 5 to 8 years.
He was shite in Germany. He was shite at Porto. Like he's genuinely crap. Yeah, Moutinho got out. As well.
I think the key thing is they let a lot of. I said it when we did our predictions at the start.
They let the experience go for me.
They let that entire Streets Won't Forget core of 2019 go. And then, especially when you had Nunes going for that kind of money, they're almost like, right, let's get a big bag of money in and let's just get scraps, see what can just get numbers in. Like 10-2, anyone will do that kind of thing. So.
Absolutely.
Look at us, like they're trying to
play. Speaking of that as well, we will get on to Burnley later on in the show, but that's a great question from Maisie.
I don't think he has either.
They had the right manager.
That's not a question. That's a statement of fact.
Absolutely.
That was let's rush around. Who can we get? We can't get a big name right now. Let's just see who's available that can try and
Reece, you said it at the start of the season. If he didn't back Lopetegui, he's going to walk. And look what he did 3 games before the start of the season.
He walked because he saw it coming. Like, Lopetegui was like, if you're not going to back me, then fine, fuck you, I'm gone. Like, I think Lopetegui knew that. And look at the players like if Lopetegui didn't leave, Mateus Nunes doesn't go to Man City. Like, no disrespect to him, Man City. That's not a disrespectful comment to Man City or any shape or form. They've got the money to get Nunes out of Wolves. But if Lopetegui doesn't go, Mateus Nunes is still the main man in that Wolves midfield because he was the best midfielder. They had a balanced midfield. I don't know why they didn't back him. I'd love to know, and I think
FFP.
That's a great comment. Another great comment by Maisie as well.
I believe it was FFP. Like last season when he took the job, he was led to believe that they would buy maybe younger players, but still be able to spend money. And they got to the summer, they went, so you remember what we said about money? And he was like, yeah. And they were like, we got no money.
How much is Wolves worth, Maisie? Can you let me know? Because that's a good comment. Like,
they're worth about 6.5 billion, but I think that with the amount that the club was pulling in because of all FFP and everything, the amount that they'd spent since they went up in 17-18 really caught up to them quickly, and it was going to happen
because they didn't keep finishing in Europe.
They should
be finished in Europe, and they just decline.
Which then caused the price in the summer.
In my opinion, I think Bournemouth have a better team than Wolves. I think Bournemouth are playing better football than Wolves, and I think Bournemouth are playing much better as a team. I think every game that they've played, they have been unlucky in some games. They've been very, very unlucky, and I think as well they've had a really, really tough run of fixtures. So I think after this Arsenal game, I think there's certain games that they can go on and win. Honestly, I think they've had a very, very hard run in to begin with, and I think the points will definitely come with Bournemouth. But I think the one thing you've got to say is Areola is a much, much better manager than Gary O'Neill ever was.
Jesus, they're worth more than the Glazers, mind you. At least they earned their earnings, unlike fucking the Glazers stuff. Here's another thing as well. We all saw coming with Bournemouth. We all literally saw it coming with Bournemouth because we've actually watched their current manager play when he was in La Liga last year. They played really good football.
We know what he's about. We know what he would bring to the table, and with the Premier League having more money, we knew what would happen.
And shout out to Xabi Alonso, who might be getting the Real Madrid job as well. Shout out to Xabi Alonso.
I think as well, you've got to say that Mateus Nunes, I think, is likely to be the last one of the Jorge Mendes signings. I think Wolves are kind of now going away from that sort of area now, because apparently, from what I've been hearing, Mateus Nunes actually didn't want to come to Wolves in the first place.
He was playing to be fair, he was playing for an elite manager, and then he comes to play for. Well, they didn't have Lopetegui at the time, but you're playing for an elite manager and Ruben Amorim, and a team that's genuinely consistently playing in Europe. Would you realistically want to go play for Wolves?
It was Bruno Lage. It was Bruno Lage that brought him to Wolves. So again, it's the Portuguese connection there as well. But as far as I know, and from speaking to obviously Sophie Richards, her dad's a Wolves supporter. So I speak to both Sophie and her dad quite a lot. Yeah. He's been saying apparently Wolves are sort of going away from the Jorge Mendes sort of era of players because literally they're just fed up with them now.
I think it is an annoying thing because when you look at, obviously he's no longer with us, but when you look at clientele, the two big agents is Jorge Mendes and the deceased Mino Raiola. When you look at clientele, whether you like them or not, they had the biggest and the best clientele for a reason.
100%.
And all in general, they have that. When you look at clientele as well, there's one thing that's concerning me at the moment as well, and Julio, I don't know about you, but I think I'd like to get Maisie's point of view on this as well. This is something in general. What's your thoughts on the agency that Ten Hag is associated with being the main circle of recent signings we've made? Because the signings we've actually made all link the agency that Ten Hag is with.
I've got 2
Forget-
points to raise on this.
Forget past connection of players he's managed or whatever, or
Yeah.
clubs. The fact that it's his agency. That's what I'm looking for.
I've got 2 points on this. Firstly, it's a sign of the lack of leadership we've got at the top and the lack of adequate recruitment. Listen, I'm all for trusting Ten Hag in what he wants to build with his image, but he needs people above him to work with him. Do you know what I mean? If we had Ralph Rangnick, Paul Mitchell, and Eric Ten Hag in the same kind of boardroom, just as an example, with like Edwin van der Sar as the CEO, we wouldn't be seeing this. We would be seeing adequate recruitment. And the second point I'd like to make is, it's not a problem. The media is making it a big deal. And I will say this because using players through your agency, it gives you a good idea of what these players are like and what they're about. You'll get accurate profiles. Jose Mourinho did the same thing when he was at Chelsea. How many players did he sign that Jorge Mendes was linked to? Like Ricardo Carvalho and all sorts of other players. So Ten Hag, if he wants... Ten Hag wants a certain profile of player, not just like with what we can do on the pitch, but what they're like in the dressing room. Do you know what I mean? Ten Hag is not going to get Jadon Sancho levels of prima donnas, I don't think.
Well,
through his agency. Let's be clear here. So, do you know what I mean? I think, like, unless prima donna is the name of a kebab shop out on the town, we're not seeing that with Ten Hag. Do you know what I mean? I think it's not that big of a deal, but the fact it's Manchester United, I think speaks.
I think Maisie's spot on.
I think a little more volumes of what it is. Do you know what I mean?
Maisie's comment right there, I think, says all for me. I think a manager should have an element of control for who they want to sign, but I also think the one thing a manager should always get is their plan A option. I think, and obviously, if plan A doesn't work, then you get plan B. But if you don't get plan B, you walk away and you focus elsewhere. I think one thing for Ten Hag is I don't think Ten Hag really knew who his plan A targets were, except one name. The only plan A target from the whole time he's been here, I think, for me personally, I think it was Frenkie de Jong. I think he's the only player in general, maybe Antony as well. But when you look at, I think he would have tried to have got Gakpo more. I think if he had really stuck his neck out, I think he may have wanted to get Gakpo a little bit more until Liverpool got involved. But that's not saying Liverpool aren't an attraction. They are. I think if he really wanted him, he could have got him because we still would have paid over the odds.
Do you know what I think it is? Van der Sar was the CEO, but overseeing a lot of the football was Mark Overmars. And I think it was between Overmars and Ten Hag. But I think the problem we've got is that, like, we suck at selling players. And I think the reason Ten Hag's doesn't know who to target, I think, is because the club have come to him and they've gone, we're trying to sell as many players as possible, because the club, I'm not saying we're on a shoestring, but the club are trying to sell players to buy players. And it's a case of everyone here is on the transfer list. So we're trying to sell as many players as we can to generate as many funds. Like, it's honestly a quick sell. The problem is we're selling Fred, for example, but we can't shift McTominay. You could argue that we probably need Fred more in this team than Scott McTominay to an extent. It depends what way you look at it. So you see what I'm saying?
And it won't surprise you to know as well that I think it's Sven Mislintat, he's been sacked from Ajax.
He has.
It doesn't really surprise me the way that they're going as well. But one of the things that I obviously want to bring up as well is that
just when I ask you,
obviously
didn't Sven Mislintat not get sacked for duplicity over a transfer signing? He was trying to hide a transfer. So. Yeah, he was trying to cover up why a signing was made or something. Who was that again? I can't remember the name.
I
remember hearing about this actually. I don't know too much into it, but
he covered up a transfer or something.
I can't remember who the actual player was, but
because it's late in the window. Just on this comment, it's because it's late in the window and the club the club is faffing around trying to get funds from everywhere. Do you know what I mean? You got John Murter at cash machines outside Morrison's, just trying to get as many fivers as he possibly can. Do you know what I mean? It's incompetent running because we can't sell players.
You'd have to argue as well, like, all right, West Ham lost, back to back against, back to back 3-1 games against Manchester City and Liverpool, but West Ham played well against Liverpool. If it wasn't for Alisson Becker, I think we go behind at half time in that game. What you'd have to argue as well, West Ham have probably bought better players than Maguire and McTominay. Like, you look at that midfield that they had at the weekend: Edson Alvarez, James Ward-Prowse, Paqueta. You've obviously got Mohamed Kudus as well, Mavropanos to come in as well. So I think West Ham kind of saw that, yes, getting McTominay and Maguire would have been very, very good, but I think you kind of look at it now, and I think if you look at West Ham's squad at this moment in time, I think they've got better players than Maguire and McTominay.
Well, we saw that. We saw an argument. We saw arguments between the new technical director or whatever his role is and David Moyes.
Yeah.
Moyes wanted the likes of McTominay, Maguire and Ward-Prowse because they're Prem proven, whereas the new technical director was like, we want younger, hungry players that are just better quality. And we've seen a balance in those signings. You see Edson Alvarez, Ward-Prowse come in, Kudus come in. There's a mix there. There's a mix of their philosophies. Yeah. So it comes from adequate running. There's someone upstairs to say no. There's 2 or 3 people upstairs to say no. We don't have that. We have a maybe, we'll see, maybe. There's a lot of maybes, and Ten Hag doesn't know who his plan A targets are because we don't know who's going. We don't know who's got. Do you know what I mean? We don't know what deal to work on because we don't know how much money we're working with.
This is why I'm saying, like, whoever the new owners are, when eventually this happens, one of the first names that has to go is Myrtle, because all I see from our idiotic online fan base at times. Because our fan base at times is so idiotic online when it comes to our transfer window. Oh, Myrtle's done a madness. What the fuck? He's done nothing in his life except give his pal a job. At
least you know Chelsea, though.
True. Another thing that's quite concerned, obviously our injury concerns, but there's one of our players that are injured that I've heard nothing about from the club this whole time is Malacia.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone completely dark. It's gone completely dark.
Apparently he was not meant to come back for. The rumor, I think, at the start was lengthy, around middle of October, end of October.
Then it went dark. It's went complete dark.
The only thing we've heard since is they were hoping he'd be back by now, but he's not. So I don't know what's happening.
I don't even think he's gonna get a chance much back in the squad because I think, for me personally, I think Reguilon should be our left back until the end of the season.
We literally signed the right left back 3 years too late. This could have been over with a lot sooner. Let's be real here.
I would rather have Reguilon at left back than Luke Shaw.
Can we just sort of move on and speak about how bad Chelsea are? Because obviously Josh isn't here.
Well, we're definitely going to speak about Chelsea.
Chelsea. I don't know if you guys have seen the stat going around, but Chelsea have played 38 games since Thomas Tuchel was sacked. They've taken 39 points out of a possible 114.
I think that's just enough to relegation
form.
That is relegation form. And again, you look at Chelsea against Villa. Yes, Chelsea had their chances, but as soon as Malo Gusto gets sent off, and I think he rightfully gets sent off.
Yeah.
Because it was a really bad challenge. You can't go in with that scissors movement. And obviously it is high on Digne's ankle, but I think Chelsea's recruitment. I think outgoing's fantastic. I think outgoings they've done absolutely fantastically. Incomings, I think it's very average at best.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've got to say Nicholas Jackson is now banned, I think, for the cup game tomorrow or Wednesday. But to get 5 bookings in 6 games just says something to me.
It's a discipline issue at the end of the day.
It is disciplinary. It is disciplinary as well.
Absolutely, over the bend with Chelsea is who is the complete and utter beansprout, cough off Todd Broley, who is deciding to spend all this money on these players and yet fails to sign an out-and-out striker?
Exactly. That was my main point. I've been seeing week in, week out. How many times did Chelsea have a chance to get a proper number 9 in? And it obviously hasn't happened. Why are we seeing the links to Ivan Toney now? Why are we seeing the links? Because they've obviously know that they've completely screwed up as well. The other thing as well, why did they go for Robert Sanchez? Now, no disrespect to Robert Sanchez, I think he's been a very good servant to Brighton, but the fact is that Jason Steele comes in, and now Verbruggen literally comes in. Robert Sanchez is now Brighton's third choice goalkeeper. And top boys, Chelsea, go buy a goalkeeper. Robert Sanchez, Brighton's third choice goalkeeper. Now, I don't think many people kind of expected Kepa to go to Real Madrid. I think that was completely irrelevant of the whole situation. But Robert Sanchez, to me, just does not strike me as a number one goalkeeper. Yes, he might be number one goalkeeper at Brighton for a few years, but in all the games I've seen him play for Chelsea, barring obviously the Luton Town win, he has been shaky at best.
Yes.
Absolutely shaky at best. Look, I think Chelsea are just going to have to get Pochettino time. They're going to have to just stick with it, because I think the results that have been coming recently, obviously, the Villa result, I could see coming a mile off. I know Villa don't have the best away record, but good to see obviously Ollie Watkins scoring
through them at the weekend.
Oh yeah, Ollie Watkins was fantastic in that game. But Chelsea's business, incomings wise, is very overrated, I think.
Do you know why? Do you know what the problem is? If I may weigh in on something, we can praise their outgoings, absolutely, from a financial perspective. But I think from a squad perspective, you may need to criticize the sale of like the experienced players, like Azpilicueta, for example, because what we're seeing now is we're seeing a completely new squad, a completely new team, and it's a completely new team, but there's no experience in that squad apart from Thiago Silva and the odd one who's been there for a couple of years now. There's not a lot of long-serving players. We knew Chelsea needed a rebuild of some kind. Yes, Kante aging, getting injured a lot. Azpilicueta coming towards the end of his career a little bit.
Kovacic is the biggest loss they've made.
Yeah.
It's Kovacic.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? There isn't that. It's a very young team now. Pochettino is the leader in that dressing room, and we can all make comments that he's a bridesmaid, not a bride, etc., whatever.
He does have one vital leader if you can keep him on his side, and that's Thiago Silva.
Thiago Silva is the best leader at Chelsea right now.
He's the only leader at Chelsea.
They need to keep him on.
That's the problem.
Especially as well.
To be fair, I think Reece James is the leader. He's just very unlucky by injuries. I think he's a leader in that squad. I think he's a good professional.
He almost has to be at this point, though, Reece. That's what I mean. Like we can see him as one, but even if we didn't see him as one,
player. I think he's a brilliant player.
He doesn't have a choice.
Unfortunately, the thing with Reece James is his hamstrings are like spaghetti.
Yeah, he is. He's not going to cope. Another thing as well is what Pochettino is really confusing me is he's playing players constantly in possession, and he's trying to make excuses for it. How can he still continue to get away with playing Chilwell in an attacking position? Makes no sense to me. When he's got the likes of Raheem Sterling, I think that Nick Jackson's okay. Nicholas Jackson, I think he's all right, but he's still got a long way to go. But even Jorginho, I agree.
Therein lies the problem, though, Reece. Why are you relying on a 22-year-old kid to get goals for Chelsea?
What else can they call upon? That's the worrying thing.
Yeah, exactly. I think if Nkunku was fit, then I think you probably see maybe Nkunku in that sort of that striking role. But for me,
waiting on him.
Yeah, Nicholas Jackson's 22 years old. He's coming to a new league. It's always going to take him a bit of time to get suited to the Premier League, and it's no fault of his own that he's not looked great. I know he scored against Luton, but it's just not been great for Nicholas Jackson. And obviously, he's suspended now for the cup game. He'll be back for the Fulham game, and yet away at Fulham is no easy on a Monday night either. And Chelsea's fixtures from October to November is absolutely horrible.
Us and Arsenal have got November. Another thing as well, and this is another thing that's a reflection of them, like for Chelsea, is
fantastic.
Chelsea have always been good at the loan market, about picking their clubs, about where players go. They made a massive mistake with Andre Santos. Hudson-Odoi is lucky. He's playing for Fulham because he's a winger.
Mm-hmm.
He can play in that attacking position, or he can play as a number 10. Andre Santos is being deeped into a midfield position. He ain't going to get games. That's another player that they've spent big money on for the future.
And how disastrous a signing has Mikhail Mudryk been?
That's
shocking.
That's worse than Anthony. Frankly, I'm not going to compare both anyway for different reasons, but that's another massive flop. Like, he has flopped huge for Chelsea, and there's no coming back. Enzo Fernandez isn't doing well either. He's a good player, but he hasn't been consistently good the past couple of games. I don't think he has.
I actually feel sorry for Enzo Fernandez because that midfield keeps getting changed week in, week out.
I think his best game so far this season is when he played with Gallagher.
Mm-hmm.
I think Gallagher's actually started the season really well. I think if you put Enzo Fernandez and Conor Gallagher together, you've actually a decent midfield. It complements each other really well. I think that's
right by there.
That's very true, yeah.
Another one.
Completely.
You have to feel sorry for Mudryk a little bit because it's not his fault that Chelsea paid a lot of money in January.
No, that's not his fault. But what is his fault though is he is being presented with these opportunities consistently week after week after week because of the money's been spent on him, and he is not delivering end product.
Yeah.
You got to remember as well. Like, I defend them times in this channel. Timo Werner got the same bloody treatment by fans, and they horrified him more than anybody. And I'm like, I said it every week. You're playing him in the wrong position, and you're playing him against the wrong type of opponent. No wonder Timo Werner's not doing well in the Premier League. Funnily enough, Chelsea scored the weekend for the first time in ages. So did Timo Werner for the first time since spring. Maybe when Werner scores at the same time Chelsea score, who knows? But that's another big problem for Chelsea is the level of experience. Look at the strikers they wanted as well. They wanted to sign, and two of them scored at the weekend for bloody PSG against Marseille. Cole Moani and Ramos.
Yeah, I wonder who's going to win Chelsea's goal of the month for September.
15-year-old probably in the under 15s or something.
Yeah, the 15-year-old is playing for the under 21s.
Absolute madness. But anyway, swiftly moving on as well. If you have enjoyed this stream as well, guys, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, you can support the channel. That'd be greatly appreciated.
And drop some re-slander in the comments. We love it.
Absolutely.
We need this on tap.
We do indeed. But swiftly moving on. What a game. What a fantastic game.
North London derbies. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. So started off.
I knew they wouldn't lose. I literally said last week that Spurs were not losing this to Arsenal. No way.
Especially with the way that Postecoglou started them off. But start off with a Romero deflection, 26th minute. Saka trying his shot, basically going through the line. Then Son pops up, lovely goal to type the game. Penalty shout. First thing we've got to say, guys.
We had the same one.
Was it handball by Romero?
We literally had the same one when we played Spurs, and we didn't get it, and we were told that the referee was correct. And the same thing happened at the weekend, and we were told that the referee was correct at the weekend. What is it? What's the Gallagher?
We literally had this conversation when you weren't here, when we were backstage before we went live.
Yeah.
They literally pretty much admitted it. This weekend, they have.
When are we getting our apology?
We're not getting one, but it's clear now, and it's official. It's concrete. You can't hide from it anymore. Without even trying to defend the situation, Dermot Gallagher and the other rest of the hillbilly crew have basically summed up that yes, we have a Man United agenda. If it's going to be for Man United, we're not going to give it. If it's for any other club, it's happening. So I'm like, people can moan that Man United get everything with the referees, and that's fine. And that's fine. People can do that, but he got point blank asked on that ref watch bollocks, or whatever it is they do. It should be fraud watch anyway. But he got asked point blank to his face, explain the difference between the Man United penalty decision and the Arsenal one, and he couldn't fucking do it. You're meant to be an experienced official, mate.
It's ref watch with 3 blind mice, Reese.
Go back to the frickin' slums or Newcastle. Same thing. But like the genuine circumstances, you can't get away from it anymore. That was horrible. And I'm saying this as well. Spurs should have battered Arsenal by more. I thought Spurs were by far the better team. The stats, the performance, it all summed up. And one thing as well, I like the honesty of Maddison when he came out after the game or something. He asked about like taking opportunities or something. Like it was a free kick or a penalty or something. And he literally came out and he's like, the manager told me, like, you may have failed this time, but you won't next time. He's literally telling him what's going to happen. Like that confidence that he has in Maddison, it might end up being proven right that we should have signed Maddison, not Mason Mount. I've got nothing against Mason Mount, but I think we probably signed the wrong midfielder. But to be fair, I would take them both for their versatility right now. But James Maddison has replaced Harry Kane at Tottenham in the way that they needed. They've got a number 10 that plays the number 10 that doesn't need to be a striker. And Heung-min Son is comfortable up front because even though he doesn't have the pace he used to have, he's still got pace where he can get him behind. And Heung-min Son is a brilliant finisher. He is a quality finisher. He's brilliant with the ball. Mm-hmm. He's one of the best players to watch in the league. I enjoy watching Son, even though he fake killed himself against McTominay a couple of years ago. He's a beautiful player. I would have Heung-min Son over Marcus Rashford right now. Because he does what Rashford doesn't do. He plays for his badge, plays for his team.
I said put him central, he'll score.
I've got to say, that game yesterday was fantastic. Fantastic watch.
End to end.
End to end, completely. I think it would be, I think Arsenal had the better of the first half. I think Spurs had the better of the second half. So I can't balance, probably a draw is fair. But I actually think, if we're being really brutally honest, I think Ange Postecoglou out-tacticked Arteta in that game. And I think if you look at it, you look at what happened at the half.
Formations he was playing that game. All those 460 whatever formations that Arteta said they were playing. Postecoglou out-tacticked that. Colour me shocked.
Yeah, no, Postecoglou, like fair play to him. You know, he's obviously came into, a Spurs side that's really been struggling. But I think you've got to say it as well. Mm-hmm. He is one of the most likable managers in the Premier League right now, Postecoglou. Some of the things he's coming out and saying. I know that obviously he was Celtic manager, Reece, but you've got to say that he's been a breath of fresh air since he came into the. He's been a breath of fresh air since he came to the Premier League. One thing I will say though, Eddie Nketiah was very lucky not to be sent off, because I think if he had connected with Vicario's ankle, I think that's a leg breaker, because the way he's gone in, he's slid in, nowhere near the ball. I think if you catch a goalkeeper with that amount of force, I think you've got to go. So I think he was very, very fortunate. I actually thought Rob Jones actually had an all right game up until that penalty decision. And the funny thing is, actually, as well, that they were actually saying on whatever it is called, Ref Watch, if Basuma hadn't been there, Romero's getting sent off. So Romero's having a bit of a nightmare game already, to say the very, very least. So, no, fantastic game of football, and it just goes to show as well that Arteta's still got a lot to learn as well, because that's now the Fulham game. They drew 2-2. They've now drawn 2-2 against Tottenham. They've got City coming up next. They've lost Declan Rice. They've lost Leandro Trossard as well. Fabio Vieira's, I think, injury hit as well. So the injuries are starting to sort of pile up for Arsenal as well. And they're away to Brentford tomorrow evening as well. Not easy.
Yeah, they are. They
Absolutely.
Are in
I'm just going to break into Reese as well. I believe you have an update on Jadon Sancho.
Yes, there's quite a few tweets here, ladies and gentlemen. So let me go through all of these, and then we'll come back. We'll go through.
Wait,
so
let me get snacks.
So, shut up. So this is the first. This is the first one. So some of them might intertwine between what's been said, so they might cross lap each other. But this is first from Disco Mirror. Jadon Sancho has been barred from using all first team facilities at Carrington. That includes a dining facility used by the first team, with Sancho forced to eat alongside academy players because of his fallout with Ten Hag. He said to Jadon Sancho, this is a follow-up tweet, Jadon Sancho said to be unhappy he has been forbidden from accessing all first-team areas, but is refusing to apologise. Manchester United sources have said the situation between the two has reached an impasse with no way back until he apologises. Disco Mirror then says for the third time, Jadon, this is the third tweet from Disco Mirror, sorry. Jadon Sancho is also understood to have been late for training on several occasions, which we've already spoken about tonight. According to Manchester United sources, with the player's inflammatory social media post proving the last straw for Ten Hag.
Interesting.
This is from Hurst Class. First tweet from them. The PFA, this is a really interesting one. The PFA has offered its help in a bid to resolve the dispute between Erik Ten Hag and Jadon Sancho. They have been in contact with United and Sancho, although as it stands, there has been no resolution. PFA, the funny that,
in my opinion, if they say there's no solution that has been raised, I have a feeling that they're in Ten Hag's corner and they are not going to get involved and back Sancho here.
Good.
Yep.
Which they absolutely should.
Although why
he brought it on himself.
Although why the FA are getting involved is quite dodgy. The second tweet from Hurst Class is the Professional Footballers Association, the PFA, good one, has offered its help in trying to resolve, as I've said, they're trying to resolve the situation. He's in Disco Mirror's reaffirming that he's been exiled. The last tweet that's come in is, so that's basically just the impasse, but it does say that he is unhappy that he's been forbidden from access all first team areas. Thoughts on that, gentlemen? All I'm going to say is, and I agree with this first comment on that last tweet, he only has himself to blame.
Yeah,
as a comment, and I fully agree. I thought Jadon Sancho would have done really well this year as a number 10. I've been calling out for Sancho to play through the middle for quite a while, and he's now fucked.
Absolutely, and well said.
That boy got 5 words. Cry me a fucking river.
Absolutely. But anyway, moving swiftly on, I think, would you say we've covered everything about the North London Derby, or is anything that anyone else would like to add?
Jesus is shit. He had a chance to what could have been the winning goal.
Straight over the bar.
Over the bar. I saw Inzaghi miss a chance like that against United in 2010. After AC Milan had just got back in the game at the San Siro, it was 3-2. Straight from kickoff, United lost it. And Inzaghi had the chance, minute 89, I think it was, to equalise. It was the exact same chance. It was honestly a carbon copy.
Of the night. Fantastic. Maddison was a lucky boy indeed. Sorry, go ahead, Julio.
No, I finished what I said. That was it. Jesus had a chance on a plate and just went and just skied it. He ain't. Jesus was supposed to be this guy, man. Do you remember what they were saying about him this time last year? Because he hit a good purple patch. Oh my God. Just from
it is embarrassing for him. But anyway, moving swiftly on, we're going to go to the section that I called the Dross, which is the 3 relegated teams and a few of the promoted teams as well. We're going to start off with this one. What's everyone's thoughts on this? Are we going to potentially
Chris Wilder calling it now? Chris Wilder's coming in. He's coming back.
Yeah.
I can't actually see it, to be honest. And the only reason that I don't think Wilder's going to go back is because of the way it ended when he was dismissed there. It ended on such a sour note between both Wilder making statements, Sheffield United making statements. And to be honest, I think that book is closed for me. Not sure
until now. Have you seen the rumours last week? The owner was on a podcast, and he seemed to suggest, with what he was saying about Chris Wilder, with the utmost respect to what he was doing before and all that, and it seemed to be he had repaired that relationship with Wilder. So seeing that tells me that Wilder could come back in some form. Because let's be clear here, Chris Wilder probably thinks he deserves another Prem job, especially after what happened at his last job.
Yeah.
In football, let alone in the Premier League. So I think that's going to happen. I just feel really strongly about it.
Well, his last job was Watford, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
It was Watford and then Middlesbrough before that, weren't it?
Yeah. Other way around, because he got sacked at both, didn't he? Watford, he did not last long.
Yeah, he didn't do great at Watford.
I think that was an end of the season job.
Yeah,
I think that was just.
I've honestly got to say, of the 3 promoted sides that I've obviously watched this season, only Burnley, I think, are the ones that are actually capable of staying up, if I'm being honest. Sheffield United, yes, they're an absolute embarrassment.
Yeah.
I mean, there's ways of losing, and then there's ways of just giving up. I thought yesterday they just completely gave up. Immediately, you saw the heads drop after the 3rd goal, and it was so easy to play through as well. But Heckenball, will he survive? I would be very surprised if we're not replacing with his name's Heckenball, but I'd be very, very surprised if you're not putting SA in front of that and calling him Paul Sackenbomb, because simple as that. I think he is doomed. And yeah, Kian, I am absolutely shattered. But
I think we can change it to what's the better way? Beckenbottom, because it's like Beckenbottom.
But another thing I will say before we move on to the next certain victim, and by the way, they will be next on the list, Kian, is I don't know why. I think I can see it happening, but there's a certain man who's left Huddersfield. Could we potentially see A, a reunion with the Premier League, and B, a reunion at Bramall Lane?
I need that more than anything. I don't think you understand. I need that. I need one last dance in the Premier League.
That would be something, but I can't really see it. I honestly can't see it. The reason being is that I think Sheffield United will probably keep a hold of Heckenbottom for the West Ham game. If they get battered in that game, I think a change will be made.
I agree.
I give it 5 games, 5 heavy defeats, maybe a draw in there somewhere, actually, just to be nice. And then Heckenbottom goes.
I completely agree.
I'll say this now. Paul Heckenbottom gets sacked before Manchester United go to Bramall Lane on the 21st of October.
And then, great. So we get new manager bounce. Oh, that's great, isn't it? Yes,
that's why I said that.
I should have seen that.
It's written in the stars for Sheffield United to take points out of you guys, but
they did it last time.
It was the only win.
Our title challenge came and went.
Very true. And it's going to happen again. But anyway, moving on to the next one. We have touched on Burnley earlier today, but for me, they had a great result against Wolves. Are we going to see more from Luton?
10 men Wolves who can't do shit at the moment. No. Luton, no.
I think you can't. I think you can't dismiss it as a great result, considering the fact Wolves have been in the Prem for quite some time and they have played in European football. I think it is a great result for them, considering. But the problem is, it was a little bit fortunate.
Mm-hmm.
Like to get the goal, it was quite fortunate for Luton. But the problem for Luton is, are Luton going to go and build on that? They really need to. They've got no other option now. They have to go and build on this. I don't think they will.
I've got a different viewpoint. I think it's a really bad result for them. You should be winning your home games, no matter who it is against. All right, okay, maybe apart from obviously your Cities, your Liverpools, your obviously Arsenal's as well. But They should have won that game, as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned. And their next two will determine where they are by the next international break. It's Everton away and then Burnley at home. Luton and Burnley play twice this coming game week. So obviously, Nathan, just a wee heads up there for you and your dad doing prediction. The prediction video. I've already done mine because it came out at 7 o'clock this evening. But yeah, Luton and Burnley both play twice this week. Because I think Luton and Burnley both meet each other at Kenilworth Road on next Tuesday, I think it is.
They do the rearranged for him. I think it was game week 1 of this season. Game week 1.
Two, I think, because it was it was 18th of August when that was postponed. That one.
Absolutely, but aside from that, I do think that moving on to it, Rob Edwards, he'll be safe for the season. I
can't see Luton sacking Rob Edwards. No way.
Absolutely.
No, I don't think they will.
But really, it's just a case of seeing where they go. They are essentially the Blackpool of the 2020s, so it's they will play their own stage, I guess. But Julio, is there anything you wanted to add?
I've got some big news, gents.
Go for it.
Duncan Ferguson is going to be the new Inverness manager.
Wow. It
was Inverness, right? I did read that right. Yeah, Inverness Caledonian Thistle.
That surprises me considering the job he did. Well, I would say job loosely in quotation marks he did at Forest Green Rovers.
Wow. Having been brought up in Inverness for around 6 months in the early 90s, I've got a bit of an affiliation with Inverness Caledonian Thistle. So that's an interesting appointment, I've got to say.
That is.
I won't lie, I didn't expect it to cause this much of a reaction.
It is.
I knew it would cause a bit of a shock, but not this.
Fair play. If he wants to come up and have a crack in the Scottish Championship, then fair play to him. But Inverness are a shadow of them form ourselves, definitely.
He's making a mistake. I think he's made the mistake of a choice. But fair play to him. So.
What kind of job do you think he should have gone for? I'm not saying what should he have gone for now that was available, but if he was looking at Football Manager Indeed, and he had to put a specific kind of job, whether it be league or level or philosophy, what were you thinking?
For me, I don't know. Mainly because he has all the tools at Forest Green, and he did absolutely nothing there. I don't know whether it was because he wasn't backed, etc. But for me, if he can't build it through there, could be a good option. But I really don't know for him. Maybe go through on a League 2 club that has budget, use his Everton links to his advantage. But aside from that, I can't see where he goes.
I don't think even he knows.
I think he's just taking jobs at the moment.
Yeah.
He's not getting a lot of calls.
Probably trying to make a name for himself, isn't he?
We'll see what he does, but I'm not.
Big Duncan Turkey. We've seen crazy things.
I don't think even he knows. You know what I mean? I don't think he knows what he wants to do, and I think that's dangerous. But he's a decent manager. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure. I think he's making a mistake.
Completely agree. Anyway, dropping down a level. There is one club we need to discuss tonight. Julio, get ready, because I know you've been looking forward to this all day.
Hang on, which one is it? Because there's two we could talk about. There's your mob, and then there's someone else.
There is someone else. I think we've discussed my mob so much, and to be honest, I don't want to jinx the gloriousness that we've been doing with it. Take it away, sir.
You want me to take it away?
Take it away. This is your moment.
Fraud. Arrest him. Fraud. What is it? This 2, 3, 5, whatever it is. Shut up. Just go. We all knew from the start it was the wrong appointment. Let's be clear here. we all said this would be the wrong appointment. You know, I've argued with Swansea fans on Twitter about this, actually. They were talking about, Russell Martin made his place nice, but was nice to watch. I was like, no, Steve Cooper was better because he got you results. He got you into playoff spots.
This is the thing that you
play to win. You play to win.
Speaking from a biased point of view, but this is the thing that you got to go back with the Swansea way. Down West Wales, they have this mentality, and Kean exactly has it for both Southampton and Swansea at the moment. They have this mentality that, I know I'm not saying it for all Swansea fans, because I know Reece Bish and a few of the other ones, True Jack, etc., they don't agree with this. But there is a large section of that fan base that would rather play pretty football and establish a style of play and not win matches than play ugly football and win games.
But it comes to an extent.
It comes around in this Swansea way.
The thing is, Steve Cooper, for example, he got results. He didn't get you promoted. He didn't get them promoted. Playoff final appearance, though. He was close. And, since they've gone down, how close have they come, realistically? They've not come that close. Russell Martin's gone in. They've gone further down the league, and they've stepped closer and closer, but they've never been that close to the playoffs, let alone actually in there. And we all knew him going to Southampton, no matter how good their squad was, they wouldn't be convincing, at least, let alone we knew they wouldn't win the league. Let's put it like that. We knew they wouldn't challenge for the championship. It would be, if they get playoffs, great. Otherwise, it's terrible. And I think that whilst you could say, oh, he wants to play pretty football, this, that, Swansea fans right now, with what's going on with Duff, they're saying, oh, can we get Russell Martin back almost? I think it tells a weird story of how they view it versus how we maybe view it from the outside. I mean, I did actually want to ask you, Nathan, about the whole Duff situation, because I thought he would be doing better than what we're currently seeing. I don't know what it is that's maybe holding them back a little bit. I don't know if they're going reactionary because of the Cardiff defeat. I'm not saying their form is the best, but I think the fact that he's lost to Derby and maybe he's made some comments that they don't like, but I thought they would give him more time. And I've seen a lot of reactionary posts on Twitter. I'm not saying they're from anyone we know, I don't think. But yeah, back on Russell Martin, it's just, I said at the weekend, I have a strong affiliation to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I would rather see him go in there and watch him do bits with that Southampton team, because I actually think with the personnel, he would cook. Now, Reece, you can look at me like that a little bit, and I know I've just made something, but I actually think that it would be, it's a low bar. It would be better than what we're seeing right now, but that's a low bar. But me personally, I don't know. This is
the time to get popcorn, ladies and gentlemen, because the look on Nathan and Reese's faces tell a picture.
I can't keep talking with a straight face. I'm really unhappy now.
I can't believe that those words were just uttered.
I completely agree with that comment by Kean. I am 100% ready to violate the Geneva Convention. I'm willing to.
Can I have my say on Russell Martin?
What's your thoughts?
You cannot go into Southampton and be the worst team in the worst defensive team in the Championship. Just honestly, I actually, if you look at my predictions, I actually have Southampton 6th this season, and I'll stand by it. I still think that they could potentially get playoffs, but I think that's the best that they can get. Russell Martin, what's he done? MK Dons, Swansea. Did we really think that a club like Southampton, obviously Ruben Sellers did an all right job. Let's be honest, Ruben Sellers did an all right job at Southampton. Mm-hmm. Did we really think that Russell Martin was going to be the right man for for Southampton? No, I've said it for a while. I don't think he's a manager for Southampton. And it's quite clearly shown that 5-0 against 5-0 against Sunderland is not a great result. 4-1 against Leicester, not a very good result. losing to the bottom club, Middlesbrough. No disrespect to Michael Carrick, who's had a very, very poor start to the season, but I think you've got to say that Middlesbrough have lost a lot of players. They've lost obviously Cameron Archer, who's obviously Sheffield United, and obviously lost Chuba Akpom, who's
now I think top scorer last season.
Top scorer, yeah, exactly. Top scorer last season for Middlesbrough as well. I think it's going from bad to worse for Southampton, and let's be honest. I think another couple of defeats. I think you could kind of say that Russell Martin will be somebody heading out the door. Just very, very quickly on obviously Swansea. Michael Duff, I thought, was going to do a very good job, especially the job that he did at Barnsley. But it's obviously not working out for him at this moment in time. But however, I would have to say, I think Cisco Munoz is probably going to get sacked more. It is going to get sacked before Michael Duff, because I think Sheffield Wednesday fans have just had enough.
I think so, and I think with Isco, a lot of them feel sorry with him as well because of the way that Chansiri is making some of the decisions there. But I'm going to bring you into this as well, Reese. You said at the start of the season that Southampton would fly at the league, in particular as champions, if they brought in Marcelo Bielsa. You backtracked on it very quickly when Martin was appointed. Just give me your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I was right. That's why. To be fair, I was right. You want a manager that actually understands the league and is actually a good manager to do it. Instead, Bielsa's went to Uruguay and he's going to win trophies with Uruguay instead. Biggest concern for me is, again, Russell Martin couldn't coach blind men if they had full-on directions and 11 blind dogs to play football. He's genuinely crap. He is genuinely dreadful.
Coventry get battered everywhere they go. Coventry get battered everywhere they go. Welcome in, Ant. Hope you're having a good one.
Eventually we'll be saying that again to Cardiff, but don't worry, mate. My biggest concern, though, is like the worst thing about Southampton, right, is Southampton will be willing to give him the length of time when they should have gave him no time at all. There was a wrong decision, wrong appointment. It doesn't fit Southampton as a club. It doesn't fit what they want to project as a style of play, and the results have reflected that. Like it's
Huddersfield being Coventry.
Yep, I think so. It was last time I checked, it was a draw.
Yeah, I'll check this now for you.
2 seconds. 1-1. 95th minute draw.
Oh, for goodness sake!
There's been some mad games today. Like Austin FC drew 3-3 with LA Galaxy, and Inter Miami drew 1-1 with Orlando.
Just very, very quickly, I'm not so sure Darren Moore's the right appointment for Huddersfield.
He's not good enough either. He's not good enough either.
The thing I will say about Huddersfield is no matter who they would have appointed, Warnock was going to walk anyway, no matter about it, just because of the sheer lack of backing in the transfer window, not even being backed for free transfers, just says it all for me. But
I honestly think, having watched Huddersfield, having watched Birmingham, having watched obviously QPR, obviously Sheffield Wednesday, obviously Plymouth, I think the three potentially go down. Sheffield Wednesday, I think honestly Huddersfield will go down. I think it's their time to go down this season, and that third team could be anybody. But I think out of the promoted sides, I think we're already seeing Sheffield Wednesday are doomed already. Plymouth, I think, are doing really, really well. They seem to be making most of their home form, which is very, very good to see. I mean, 6-2 against Norwich City is absolutely amazing. As well. Absolutely agree with Anne. And there says Southampton should be doing what Leicester are doing as well. And Ipswich are just fantastic as well.
Get onto Ipswich in a moment, but there was going to be another thing I was going to add to that. And in fact, we'll probably go there right now saying that. But I just want to add in Kian's comment very quickly. Manager is a Wednesday fan. He was so sick of Darren Moore. Very true, especially under Zisco. I think it was a disaster when it came in because look at him at Watford. didn't even last them into the Premier League and was very... That was one Watford manager, even though we all know they love sacking managers. When they got promoted, they were very quick to say that they would want to get rid of him. Just the
Where Sheffield Wednesday playing Huddersfield this weekend?
I think they might be, yes.
Oh, crikey.
That is a whopper if that's the case. Yeah.
So it's literally the man who took your job over basically the man who's just taken over Neil. Wow.
Actually, no, saying that Huddersfield are playing Ipswich, they're getting battered.
Yeah, that could be carnage, that one.
Absolutely. And then where's the other one? Wednesday. Can't actually find it at the moment. But anyway, moving on. Preston North End, Ipswich Town. Flying starts the season behind Ant's beloved Leicester City, and we all know they're going up as champions. There's no doubt about it. Are these two falling off? Because they have been the two pretty much bystanders. And if you look at it as well, are they going to fall off to... And I'm going to point it out to the sides that are in form and could easily be pushing for playoffs. Hull City, Sunderland, Leeds, Bristol City. And there is one that I can't believe that I am going to
Cardiff.
mention. And if you said this to me at the start of last season, I would have shot you. Cardiff City. Take it away, lads.
It's too early to tell.
Yeah, far too early to tell. But I think if one was to fall away, I would say Preston.
I'd agree. It's too early to tell. We saw QPR up right at the top of the league this time last year, if not a bit later into the season. We're around October, and look what happened with them. Granted, manager change, they fell off really badly, but Cardiff City are up there. Cardiff seem to have a terrible start, and suddenly they're in 7th. Mm-hmm. There's no disrespect to Cardiff, but I think when it's the championship, 8 games, I still think it's too soon. I think once you get to October, November, then you can start thinking. And even then, the championship is unpredictable. We saw Villa and Fulham, I think November, December, January time, all be 13th place in the league, roughly. And then they got promoted that season through the playoffs.
That's the thing with the championship. Everyone can be
It's unpredictable.
If you put a good run of form together, you can rock it up about 10 places. But just bringing into Kean's chat, so they actually got relegated after Mick McCarthy. Everyone knows about him. After he resigned, after he just kept them mid-table for years, took them into League One where they had their struggles and flew up under Kieran McKenna. And boy, are they doing... Well, they're just doing absolutely incredible now. But going to end the championship area on this one. Based on what we've seen, who's going to be the free to go up? Going to start with you, Mr. Horn.
Leicester. Ipswich. I do fancy Sunderland. I don't know why, but I'm going to say Leicester, Ipswich, Sunderland.
Very interesting. Julio.
It's really annoying because the 2nd and 3rd spot could literally be anyone from 2nd to 11th.
Yeah.
That's why I love the championship, but I hate doing predictions for championship because of it. But if I had to pick, Leicester, I tell you what, I'm going to say Preston over Ipswich, but only because they've been in this high up in the league longer. If you get what I mean, Ipswich have just come up. Granted, we saw Sunderland pull up trees last year. So I'll say, just for this one, I'll say Leicester, Preston. But that, honestly, it could be either Preston or Ipswich in that 2nd spot. And then as for the 3rd one, you know what? It's so hard. It's one of the bigger clubs. It's either Sunderland or Leeds. But I think Sunderland will edge it because Leeds don't convince me enough. The appointment was lazy, and I still maintain that to this day.
Completely agree. And I'm just going to bring in Ants before I go to Reese.
No,
they're going to be nowhere near it this season. In fact, they're going to be close to relegation with the way they were playing. They were shocking when they came down.
Weren't they in this position this time last year, though?
Yes, they were. And then they had an amazing run.
They went on a run, exactly. The best thing anyone can do right now is go on a run.
Exactly. I mean, just we're the prime example, but Reese, can I bring it to you?
Um,
Can I just say, I really wanted to say Cardiff in there.
I think we all did, but I think once the championship goes towards 22nd, 23rd game, I think that's when we all need to do sort of videos on where we actually did our championship predictions, Nathan.
I completely agree, because I know for a fact some of the ones that I've done are going to be way off this season.
I already know that I had Middlesbrough second.
Don't worry, I had them basically top.
Oh,
shocking!
Yeah,
them and Leicester, everyone had top 2.
I think I had Sheffield Wednesday bottom as well. So yeah.
Here's what I found.
Great minds think alike, but Reese, your top 3.
I think Leicester might win it now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's still early, so 6 points could still be made up. I think Hull City could get second.
Good shout.
And third, I still think they'll get back up somehow. If they turn it around, I'll still go Southampton. I think Ipswich will lose the playoff final.
Good prediction. Good prediction. Moving on. Going to bring this one to you, Doug. I thought Livingston were very unlucky against Celtic.
I didn't.
I think we started really, really well. We gave away a stupid penalty, which is a penalty to Celtic. I think Jamal George should save the penalty from Hatai, because it's a very, very poor penalty from Hatai. And then I think we kind of grew into the game. I think Sangari's movement was giving Celtic a lot of problems. And the red card obviously came from that. I mean, Joe Hart, 99 times out of 100 he makes that clearance, but this time he was just too slow off his line and completely clatters into Zangari. And as soon as that happens, he's out of his box. It's the night of a goal scoring opportunity. So, obviously dogso there as well. But the very frustrating aspect of that game is we never really tested Celtic after them going down to 10 men. And that was the most disappointing thing as well, especially with Scott Bain coming in goal. Who's, let's be honest, Scott Bain is not a great goalkeeper. It has to be said. We never really tested them. I don't think the scoreline was a 3-0. I'll be honest. I don't think the scoreline was a 3-0. But losing that goal immediately after the second half got underway was very, very disappointing. So that was my biggest aspect of that game, is that we never really tested Celtic when they went down to 10 men.
Interesting stuff. Yeah, I thought Celtic need to watch it under Brendan Rodgers. If he's going to capitulate like the way that he ruined Leicester, then it's going to be evil showing. But I was impressed by Livingston, to be fair. But Reese, going to bring you into this one for your weekly Rangers chat. Cyril Dessers just about getting the victory for Mick Beale, which you could say saved his job a little bit for a bit longer.
Mickey Mouse, more like.
Mick Beale's just as bad as Brendan Rodgers.
This is so true.
They both suck.
Actually,
good for Dessers to score. I'll happily take goals, get points, but Mick Beale still gets sacked because he isn't good enough.
I've never known a Rangers side play long ball before.
I've never known a Rangers side to be that shit. Genuinely so bad.
I genuinely think if Livingston play the way that they did against Celtic, I think there could be a bit of a mini upset on Wednesday.
No, it won't be an upset. We'll be happy.
I think the one thing that saved his job, though, is the fact that Rangers went and beat Real Betis.
Yeah.
Like, they completely, like, that saved his job. Doesn't matter what he does in the league now, unfortunately. They beat Real Betis. I think Rangers could actually still go and win this group now. That's the thing. But if they win it under Mick Beale, he's staying. Unless he wins a trophy, he shouldn't be staying. I don't think he's good enough. I don't rate his... He's another one. He's got full control because obviously that Muppet is obviously went to Nottingham Forest. Like Wilson went to Forest, so Michael Beale got full control of the transfers, except the money. So he's got full control over who comes in, who goes out. He keeps changing his system. His style of play keeps... I'm not even going to say evolving. He's like a Pokemon. When you get the choice to evolve, you just keep pressing B. You cancel evolution. That's Michael Beale. Or just give them an Everstone. Like, you're not progressing. Michael Beale is an Everstone on football tactics. You stay as it is. You don't go forward. I said a couple of weeks ago that I don't understand why he's playing a winger as a centre forward. And then he does the following week, he goes and changes his system from a 4-4-2 diamond to a 4-2-3-1. He puts wingers back on the wing, but in the wrong positions. So he put... So
it was a glorious viewing, may I add.
So he put Rabbi Matondo, who's a left winger, on the right-hand side. And he put fucking Scott Wright, who's a right winger, on the left. Rabbi Matondo is quality. Scott Wright is a decent player. But even on opposite wings, they look lost. Rabbi Matondo looked completely confused. I think he prefers being on the left because he likes to cut in, and he's such a direct player.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so bloody embarrassing that he had to play on that side where he had to come inside rather than cut in. So like he's having to cut in that position. He looks so uncomfortable. Dexter's a good player. At least he's standing firm. Like the worst thing about that Rangers team is there's some genuine talent, but they're not playing good football. Like really not good at all. It's genuinely poor. And I don't see an uptide. I don't see a change. I don't see when it's going to get better. And the thing as well, though, is I said that when Celtic got eliminated from the League Cup, Rangers are the best team. Rangers are the best team in the League Cup
on paper.
But I'm not convinced Rangers are going to win it. I think it will either be a Hearts or an Aberdeen. I think Hibs have got a decent chance, but when I look at the whole cup in general, I'm not overly convinced by Rangers. That I don't think Rangers can win any trophy. They need to win a trophy, otherwise Michael Beale shouldn't be allowed to stay. But I still say I would have sacked him, like regardless of the win against Betis. I would have sacked him after the win at the weekend. It sounds harsh to sack a manager after the win, but the performances don't reflect the results.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. Rangers have picked up a few wins, but they've generally not been good enough. You look at how other teams play, like fucking Aberdeen winning 4-0 at the weekend, and it looked like a 4-0 result. Like Doug will agree that that performance reflected a 4-0 win. Rangers winning 1-0 against Motherwell did not warrant a 1-0 win. It didn't. Like Motherwell should have got something out of that game. Rangers are just lucky that they've got quality in the squad. Fatherless club, that's what they are. But like, I think what Motherwell need is Christian Cage. I'm sure if they can get that, they'll be fine. Nathan knows what I mean.
Yeah.
But like, this is my problem with Rangers is Celtic can get away with it. Celtic can get away with playing badly because Kyogo will step up and he will get them goals because he's a brilliant player. But when Kyogo's injured, Celtic aren't going to do much, but they still have the quality to at least get the one goal and defend it. Rangers have to go on the jugular, but they don't do enough. And it's reflected by the performances of the stats. It isn't working. It's not working efficiently. I had to, mate. It's funny. I couldn't resist. The fact that you said father sick, I had to say Motherwell or a fatherless club. I couldn't resist. I don't think Michael Beale's the right man. I'm a little bit disappointed that Gattuso's now a heavy favourite for the Leon job. I hope he doesn't get the Leon job because I want Gattuso to take over. But Rangers really need an attack-minded manager. Otherwise, they're not catching Celtic because they don't play quality football at all. And I agree with Maisie. Like they have no excuses. Rangers have no excuses, but funnily enough, they played well against Betis despite being a 1-0 win. They actually played well. Yeah, that looked more of a 1-0 result because Betis are a strong side. Then you play Motherwell and it looked like it was fine for a draw.
I actually don't think that should tell the story though, Reese, because Rangers' recent history in Europe is actually quite good.
Yeah, 24 wins,
exactly.
8 draws and 3 defeats in the Europa League.
So exactly. So I don't think that's got nothing to do with Michael Beale. So I would hope that the Rangers board would see through that and be like, well, we were going to win in Europe anyway because it's what we do.
The domestic form is scary. It frightens me.
Yeah, that should be the only focus. And the exact same thing will happen with Celtic, except it'll be the other way around. We know you're going to do crap in Europe, but we know you're going to do well in the league. And if you don't do that, you're going to go. So,
yeah, I agree. Rangers need to start measuring based on the league position and the league form. And look where Rangers are in the league. They're not second. They're third.
Yeah.
It's by a small points margin. Let's be real. It's a couple of points between Celtic and Rangers. It's a couple of points, but that's a problem. They really need to look at getting somebody who actually understands it. And yeah, spot on. I don't disagree with that. Rangers have always, in my lifetime, in fact, I'll rephrase that. In our lifetime, Rangers have always been two things: successful and attractive. They've always played attractive football. Rangers have never, apart from Paul Le Guen, and I'm not going back to that fucking disgrace, but Rangers have always played good football, and it's always reflected. The past couple of years, Van Bronckhorst has been woeful. Michael Beale's been woeful. What's next? Like, I'm not going back to fucking McCaulty. I'm not going back to all that bollocks. I'm not going back to Alan McCoist, even though McCoist didn't do bad, just he's a commentator and he stays as it is. They really need an attractive style of play fast. I agree, Maisie. I haven't seen attractive football in a long time. The last time I saw Rangers play attractive football, Rangers versus Leipzig at Ibrox. Because that was a quality game. Rangers versus Ibrox was the last time they played well. I think Rangers have just got to the point now where it's just results now. But the problem is the fans want results, but the fans also demand attractive football because it's what we're used to. You can't go playing. No disrespect to Doug, obviously I'm from Livingston. I know what Livingston's all about. Livingston don't play attractive football. Livingston play football to actually get a result, and there's times where it's going to look good, but it's not always going to be good. It's they get the result. Rangers, it's you play good. You're expected to play good, and you're expected to win. It's the same with Celtic. You don't, you fuck off. And right now, Rangers aren't doing that. So Michael Beale, go. Just go. You're not good enough.
Well said. Just going to move on to one last topic as well before Tulio touches on something with Serie A. Explain this one.
Yeah, gladly. Ajax fans, you fucking deserve it. Like, plain and simple, they were getting beat. Like, let's be real. Like, at 56 minutes in, it's 3-0 to Feyenoord. I do not understand, one, how Ajax have fallen so badly like that. Although, to be fair, it helps when you mistreat Daley Blind and you mistreat Calvin Bassey and you lose two of your good defenders.
Yeah.
Additionally, as well, the one thing that's creeping up with Ajax is they are creeping up really badly. It's not going anywhere. Their reflection of their results have got into their fan base, and we said it before. We said it before we went live tonight that it didn't matter who was in sight. Ajax fans were fucking throwing flares and shit. Anybody, like they lost it. The fact they got abandoned at that point, it's going to get to the point where they get banned. We've already spoken about this about French fans in Ligue 1. What was it, last year? We spoke about the outbreak at the Marseille game.
Yeah,
it's now happened at the Ajax game, and you very rarely see that from an Ajax fan or fans. You very rarely see it. It's crazy, but the reflection of it as well as like the highlights of it is like flares, violence, outbreak. It went fucking tits up. In the Klassiker, it went nuts. I'm genuinely surprised it happened. I was expecting it to come from there, but there's no coming back from that. The worst thing as well is it's gonna paint a bad reflection on their fans.
It
It's
will.
a shame.
Because it is such a nice city as well. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's such a nice city, such a nice area, and you wouldn't expect it from, in particular, a fan base. And I know that Ajax does have connections to Cardiff City, but obviously from sort of that fan base who has had it all over the years, yes, it may be the bad times now for them, especially considering that, well, they are 14th in the league as it stands at the moment. No Champions League football again, which they have been struggling since Ten Hag has left. And yeah, Maisie's hit it on the head exactly well.
Yeah, I agree. They have turned privilege. I hope Timber was okay, my new friend Jimenez. From what I know, from what I've seen anyway, sorry, not what I know, what I've seen, no players were attacked, but it was just bombing the pitch, and they were trying to get to the Feyenoord fans. It was brutal. I'm hoping they were trying to get close to the Feyenoord Ajax players. They didn't care. Like, they didn't care who was in front of them. They were going for it. But apparently no players were hurt. But the Ajax fans just saw red. They went for blood. I have to say though, I'm disappointed by them.
Absolutely.
No worries, mate. It's been good seeing you. Just
no worries, mate.
I mean, verbal, of course.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Doug. It's much appreciated, especially for we don't even need to mention.
Just get Doug's point of view before he goes out.
This one. Doug, want to get your point of view. Thank you so much for coming on. Let us know where we can find you, and let us know about the Klassiker, your opinions.
Well, first, like the Klassiker, I heard it was like Feyenoord 3-0 after I think about 52 minutes, and then it was just a case about getting abandoned, and obviously the scenes after that was really, really bad, to say the very least. But no, I'm gonna have to go because obviously, big day tomorrow. So, but no, you can find me on the Dugout Football channel on YouTube, and you'll also find me on all my socials as well. Well, we do call it Twitter, but it's called X, Instagram, and obviously Facebook as well. Yeah, exactly. But no, thank you very much for having me, and I'll see you guys very, very soon.
Absolutely, mate. Best wishes to you and your beloved. Best wishes.
Yeah, cheers. See you later.
See you later.
Bye.
I'm going to bring up his name for the last time tonight before we carry on. This is for everybody else. This is coming from Wank Sport, because that's literally what they do. They just talk wank. They don't talk football.
Is this about Jadon Sancho? Let's come out again. Breaking news.
They're when the transfer window reopens, they're ready to listen to offers for him, including Borussia Dortmund.
We've got it all tonight. Stay tuned. We'll have the latest updates on the Jadon Sancho story and what is happening elsewhere. Duncan Ferguson got a new job. We got everything tonight, haven't we? We need news graphics.
It's over for him. I still reiterate, I will laugh if he goes to Roma, because he will get crucified by the Roman ultras. Not even a joke.
Oh, he will. I mean, as much as you can say, they have been a bit lenient with what is in what the Manchester United fans really backing into Sancho, and I think there is an epidemic, and everyone knows how much I can't stand them, but people who support a player over a club, I think you have found a lot of that, especially with Sancho, and we saw it at Dortmund as well. But I think if he goes to Roma, he's going to get eaten alive, and he'll be out of there by the next transfer window. And Mourinho will kick him into turn.
I've read a report a couple of weeks ago where apparently Dortmund were distancing themselves from this.
I don't think they want to go back. They've got some really good young talent, like in that. Is it Bino? It's Bino something. He's a really young English lad. I can't pronounce. He's got a double.
Bino Gittins.
That's it. Thank you. He's got a double barrel name. Quality young player, young English lad. no offense, but I wouldn't want to put him with Jadon Sancho.
Don't want that corruption.
Well, Dortmund, the minute she's saying Dortmund are flopping, the minute bloody Nicholas Füllkrug got injured, that's when Dortmund went to screw because they can't, they rely too much on a quality number 9. And they're massively losing out on Füllkrug because of his injury. Shite, eh? Oh well, that's what happens when you don't give any respect.
No, I think Sancho.
That's what happens when you don't respect Karim Adeyemi enough, eh, Dortmund? Wow.
I think Sancho should at this point just turn around and just go Assalamu alaikum, my friends, start writing me those checks and just go to Saudi Arabia at this point.
I think so, because I mean, if he wants to play
team, I'm sure you've got
3 in the morning and do what he's doing at Man United, then be his guest, get his billions, and then just retire if he wants it. Then go for it.
He's probably he is probably good for Twitch now. He's probably an affiliate. He probably makes a shitload of money through Twitch. If he wants to retire,
I'm not gonna lie, this was the beginning of the end for Dele Alli, weren't it? Because he started streaming Fortnite and shit, didn't he? And then his form tailed off.
It all kicked from there, yeah. See, that's when I haven't done Twitch for a while. I do for technically, it's not really much of a lie, but I do when I can. But he's generally so much of a problem that there's no coming back for him. But Twitch, I've only done probably that one football stream and whenever I'm streaming for YouTube, which was well over a week ago, but on my channel. But when you look at Sancho, I remember the first time I streamed on Twitch and I went till 6 o'clock in the morning, but that was a weekend. But the difference is, the worst thing is I fell asleep on that stream. Inadvertently, I fell asleep. But the problem I've got with Sancho is, like I said it earlier on, is he's picking the professionalism. He clearly hasn't got that level of professionalism for his job and for himself that he's doing it on. When you think about it, he's going from, I'm assuming he lives in nearby to Manchester or whatever it is, but don't you start me, Izzy. I can definitely hack an all-nighter, and I think I can. I don't even want
to know. Just keep it moving.
I could easily prove it.
I don't want to see it.
Literally, I could play FIFA all night long, but what I'll do it this weekend if that proves a point.
Okay, fair enough.
Or wrestling stream, I could easily do it. But in fact, no, I can easily do a watch along on Wednesday because the parents are going to Blackpool, so I'll have the fucking house to myself. Chilled. Anyway, what I'm shut up. Anyway, what I'm saying, right, is there's a difference between when I've done it and when he's done it. As a footballer, 9 times out of 10 from where he stays, I'm assuming Sancho stays in he doesn't stay in Manchester, but he'll stay in an area outside of Manchester. Time-wise, he will need to be up an appropriate time, get himself ready to go, and he will need to travel in during early morning traffic or thereabouts. He will need to be prepared properly. If you are playing football games on your consoles until the early hours in the morning, where you're going to be absolutely exhausted in the morning, 2, you're not going to be up properly, and 3, you're going to be lethargic with energy, and it's not safe to drive, he is already a liability. Then he's coming in late for training, so already the manager's having to stop himself and get everything back on track whilst dealing with the player. A manager does not want to be doing that. They want to be focusing on the training. They want to be focusing on getting the team ready for the next game. If this is your attitude, you should not be there. You should be either taking responsibility or you should be seeking help. I gave him the benefit of the doubt before because Sancho had issues, so we thought there was an issue there. So we gave him the benefit of the doubt. Right now, he's got none. He's got no benefit from me because he's clearly taking the piss now. You cannot differentiate having personal problems of that where you've actually been given. Because let's be real, Jadon Sancho was also given private training groups himself. He was sent away to Holland to be with specific coaches and all that, to be on his own so he can recover and get back to what he needs to do while still had time with Ten Hag. He's then come back and I'm actually seeing it myself, where he's now thinking it's acceptable to stream games early hours in the morning. How can you define that? How can you choose to do that to yourself when at the end of the day it hampers your career?
Mm-hmm.
You can't be
Like,
asked.
Like it will hamper his career, and if he doesn't notice that, then he's screwed. He's more screwed. And yeah, maybe I can. By considering like the fact is like you driving 3 hours sleep, it's still not good for you either.
No,
Like
I
it's
couldn't
not
do
good.
that.
Like I couldn't. I'd probably crash if I had a driving license and I had a car, which I'm working for at the moment. If I did that, I would probably crash.
We'd love to see you.
I mean, I might take a lamppost with me. I might take a lamppost with me in a Bentley. Who knows? That seems to be running around at the moment. But not Mark Rashford, but he's another one needs to be careful with what happened with him. I'm still trying to figure out. But when it comes to Jadon Sancho, he is clearly showing that selfish side to him, and he has no care. He has no care for the club that he's being paid a lot of money to play for. You can't defend that anymore. Like, I can't defend him. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm saying, like, I will not defend him any longer.
I completely agree. Is there anything else you want to add on to there, Julio, before we wrap up?
What, just in general, or
Yeah.
like on the Sancho
Yeah.
thing? Because I mean,
Yeah,
apart
mate.
from the Lukaku scored at the weekend. Your favorite player is?
Wait, what's the evidence? I like Lukaku. Where's the evidence?
I don't know. It's funny. I did want to talk briefly about the Madrid derby, just because
That was an excellent game of football.
It was.
it was. My boy scored twice. Like, you all should start
Agrees.
apologizing. He is the greatest of all time, apart from Reese's favorite in Lukaku. But I will die on a hill for that guy.
I've already told you the problem with Alvaro Morata twice. Alvaro Morata, he is a good player, but he is a Spanish Alexander Pato. Pato was a good player. Pato had injury problems, but the one thing is though is Alvaro Morata followed on what Pato did in Pato's third season at AC Milan. Third season of AC Milan, Pato went missing for months, rolled around to World Cup time, and the Copa America, it was either the World Cup or the Copa America, rolled around, Pato started banging in goals and went and flopped for Brazil. And then he got injured, and then after that he got chucked out the club. Morata's the same. Morata picks and chooses moments when he's absolute dynamite, scores goals because he knows he'll get into the Spain squad. Funnily enough, an international break's about to come up, and Alvaro Morata is going to be the starting striker for Spain. See? Clear. After that, Alvaro Morata will go missing for months. He's a good player, but he picks and chooses at times. I like Alvaro Morata, and I still like that goal for Juventus against Real Madrid in the Champions League semi-final was funny. But Morata really does pick and choose. He's a good player. I won't take that away from him, but he has picked and chosen his times where he really doesn't want to turn up. And that is not some reliable bit. I thought his goals at the weekend against Real Madrid were fantastic. I thought Griezmann was fantastic. I thought
Griezmann might actually be back.
Of course he is. So he can come to Man United in the summer. Rodrigo de Paul, excellent. Diego Simeone's tactics were spot on, and for the first time this entire season, Jude Bellingham looked lost.
Is there a worry that I know Real Madrid are in third, a point behind joint top of Barcelona and Girona, but is there a worry that parts of the Madrid fan base seem to be worried about the prospect of La Liga being over already?
I think so, considering the fact that Xabi Alonso is the prime target to take over, and I rate that choice.
Yeah, it looks like he is going to as well.
So it seems to be a very
leaving
good
as well for
choice.
Brazil.
So it's almost like that's going to happen. But do you think the circus around the fact that Ancelotti's leaving anyway, do you think that's causing an effect? Apart from obviously the fact that you lose Benzema, you bring in Joselu, and you don't adequately replace Benzema, who was almost the prime source of goals in that team. Like you can play whatever with your Diamond, with your Jude Bellingham as a 10. I just don't
Rodrigo
think
and
Vinicius,
Vinny
yeah.
Jr. as strikers. But
I
we know
don't
why
think
they
there's
signed
enough
Hosley, though.
there.
We know why they
Mm.
signed Hosley, though. They came and said it themselves. The strikers they wanted were either unavailable or they didn't want to spend the big money for the strikers, which is quite a coincidence. They didn't want to do it, so they'll wait till next summer. So I completely understand why they signed Hosley. I think they were right to. He's not going to be a 20-goal striker. They've got the quality in the squad to get the goals anyway, all round. But Hosley is going to get them 10 to 15 eventually, like once it kicks in. But he's only there because they couldn't get Mbappe or Haaland this summer.
Yeah.
Next summer they will go all out assault.
Yeah,
But
but
I think
I
if they're
just
worrying this about, I think that if they're worrying a bit early, I think that's crazy. Although I'm not surprised it's the Madrid fan base, but like they shouldn't be worried about La Liga being over yet because Barcelona are a good side, but Barcelona have still got their own problems. Girona have been amazing to start with. Fair play to them, but I agree with Maze's comment about Madrid's midfield build. Like they had to get that right, especially because it was Kroos that scored as well, and Modric is a quality player. Like Kroos is still their best passer. Replacing Kroos's passing, his vision, his work ethic, that's hard. And Modric is just an absolute energy machine. They've got a good core there. Camavinga, Valverde, touch too many balls, and Jude Bellingham. They've got a good core four there. They still need, I think, a little bit more, and to maintain the depth, unless they change their system a little. But they're sticking with the 4-4-2 diamond. It's working for them. Jude Bellingham is amazing in the number 10 role. They've got a solid base there. More like I'm not sure who else they have that you could say is comfortable, but they have at least that core four there that's young and hungry that they can build around. I think Valverde is an amazing player. Valverde is one of the best. Valverde is one of the best players to watch in football right now. Tuchemeni, he's a good player. I think he's fantastic to watch. Camavinga's versatile, so he can slot in the left back if you need him to, but I don't know if he's necessarily a Madrid player, but he's at least coming into his own to want an opportunity. Jude Bellingham is instantly a Real Madrid player for what he wants. He is beautiful on the ball. Without the ball, he's an amazing presser. He works hard, he's comfortable, and he's mature. Jude Bellingham is the next England captain. He's generally the next England captain. Valverde is the next Uruguay captain. Tuchemeni could potentially be the next France captain. Like it looks like they're all maturing as leaders within the team. Toni Kroos and obviously Modric are leaders. We know this, but you can see when they're not playing, at least the younger crop of players are actually stepping up. But the problem is, they're stepping up, but they're stepping up against a team that right for the weekend was tactically suited to them because they know their roles. So I was genuinely not surprised by the result by Atletico the weekend.
I was impressed by that.
I was not surprised. I was not surprised. But what I will say though is I was just surprised how quiet Bellingham was because Atletico knew exactly what they were doing. I think their captain is it not Carvajal? I think it might be. I'm just going to double check. 2 seconds. Their captain at the moment. Two seconds. Club captain. So Modric is the vice captain. The captain's. You've got to be joking. Their club captain is Nacho Monreal.
Wow, that's ridiculous.
I mean, Nacho Fernandez.
Oh yeah, Nacho Monreal's the shite that played for Sociedad. Sorry, Nacho. Yeah, Nacho Fernandez. Sorry,
longest
is their club
serving.
captain.
That's it. Longest serving. He came through the academy. That's literally it.
Modric is vice captain because he joined in 2012. It's still crazy that he is still one of the best players in football when he was voted the worst. He was voted the worst signing of La Liga in 2013.
That's crazy.
Like he was voted that. But you look at their squad; it's so good. Like their squad is genuinely so good all the way through. That's who I was forgetting. Not deliberately, but just because I really wanted him to stay. They still have that they've still got Brahim Diaz.
Mm-hmm.
They've got Danny Ceballos, and they've got Arda Güler, who I think is absolutely fantastic. That young Turkish boy, but he shouldn't have went to Madrid. I think I'm surprised. Milan should have signed Arda Güler anyway. They really wanted him because at least he would have went into the midfield. Arda Güler is that tactical signing, but he's not really going to get the opportunities unless a player gets injured. It's a shame, but he needs Toni Kroos and Modric to get injured before he even gets into the side. It's criminal to say that, but it's true. But then Danny Ceballos is okay. Brahim Diaz is quality, but they make no sense. Some of them don't make sense. Some of them do. But I agree with, like, without a traditional number 9, apart from Joselu, they don't have anyone else. They're having to play Rodrigo and Vinicius Jr. as 2 strikers when they can't play as strikers. They can score goals, but they're not strikers. They're wingers.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't suit them. They're lucky they got Bellingham behind them, though. And yeah, Kane, he is pretty much always on the bench, but he is their captain.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
But anyway, aside from that, I am absolutely knackered, guys, so I'm probably going to end it here now, if that's all right. Thank you so much to everyone who has watched this tonight. It has been absolutely fantastic. Mr. Russell, Mr. Leshy, thank you so much for popping on tonight as well. And thank you to Doug for skipping in as well. That was phenomenal. Reese, where can we find you on the Weekly Steel Show?
You can find me right there, the Weekly Steel Chair on YouTube, Devil's Rising on Twitter and Twitch as well. You can find me on here every Monday. Sometimes you can find me on the Devil's Advocate, and no longer tormenting Julio. I'll leave him alone. He's fine now. He's exempt because he's a bastard. He's exempt, but that's where you can find me. Good show. And to Kian Maisie, of course. Hello, thank you as well. And to everyone in the live chat who came in tonight, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. We did have somebody come in the live chat earlier on saying in German. I'll translate. It says Bayern score a goal. Well, I replied back saying Bayern are an okay team, but they're at times quite fortunate in German. So we'll see how, like, they won't see that response, but I thought I'd at least give them a little bit of courtesy. But to everyone that gave us comments and got involved in 2 hours, 37 minutes ago, thank you so very much. It's been a pleasure.
Phenomenal stuff. Julio, do you have any departing comments?
No. You'll find me on my tag that's just there.
Fantastic.
I'm just glad I was able to get on tonight. I was worried at one point I wouldn't be able to. Rangers suck, and I hope Cardiff get promoted. I still haven't found a Cardiff shirt that I like.
Celtic suck too, mate, but just be honest.
All I will say is go retro, mate. But aside from that, thanks for everyone who popped in tonight. Make sure you stick around next week for the return of Josh so we can crucify him about Chelsea. And aside from that,
and also officially, we can announce it. The quiz.
Yes, take it away.
We will do the quiz. So it'll be. We need to make sure it is in fact a Monday, or are we going to do it Saturday? What would do a Saturday, or do I do a Monday?
I think a weekend would suit me better.
Probably
we will do.
Sunday be best.
How about? Do you guys want to do a Saturday? Or you want to do a Sunday?
Well, I'd rather a Sunday, to be honest.
Yeah, me and all.
Okay.
Doesn't matter for Josh because he'll probably find an excuse to skip it.
Oh,
exactly. He's not getting out of this one. He will be there. He will be there.
Chance to retain my crown.
We will do the quiz 3 weeks from Sunday, October 22nd.
Let's do it.
And I will, of course, prepare an extremely challenging quiz for us, gentlemen.
Great.
Fantastic.
October 22nd. Live. If you'd like to get involved, please do. You're more than welcome. If you'd like to give me some quiz suggestions, be my guest as well. If you've got any particular questions you want me to ask to horrify the panel,
Please
let me
don't.
know, because I am all in for that too. Because I'm going to make this harder than the last one, and we all know how difficult my quizzes are.
Yes, somewhat.
Exactly.
They are. But anyway, that's all from us. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in tonight to the World of Football podcast. Thank you.
Fantastic. And we'll see you all next time. Have a good week, guys.